All right, first item on the agenda is, sorry, we're back in public session. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Tom, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have approval of the non-public and public meeting minutes of August 3rd. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, moved by Rob, second by Carol. Any comments, questions on those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? That is 5-0.
I would make a motion to seal the non-public meeting minutes from today indefinitely, as is determined the divulgence of this information likely would affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Les. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? That's 5-0. Consent agenda.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda for August 17, 2023. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 8/10/23. Accounts payable payment manifest dated 8/17/23. Payroll payment manifest dated 8/17/23. Distribution of funds from the building maintenance fund in the amount of $1,567.96. Distribution of funds from the sewer capital reserve in the amount of $12,138. Approval of the MS 535 financial report, approval of religious, educational, and charitable exemptions for American Legion Post 26, map lot 114-105, Bristol Baptist Church, map lot 114-091, Bristol United Church of Christ, map lot 115-064 and 114-031, Bristol Recreation Advisory Council, map lot 114-009 and map lot 113-048. Bristol Cemetery Association, map lot 116-102 and map lot 116-074. Bristol Community Services, map lot 114-189 and 114-196. Mayhew Inc., map lot 104-001, 113-132, 104-134, 104-135, and 204-001. Midstate Health Center, map lot 228-013. Lakes Region Visiting Nurses Association, map lot 112-072. Roman Catholic Bishop of Manchester, map lot 111-054 and 111-005. Slim Baker Fund, map lot 227-003 and 227-033. SNHS Elderly Housing, map lot 216-101-002. Union Lodge Masonic Association, map lot 114-182. Upward Bound Youth Development, map lot 224-024, 224-025, and 224-026. Assessing Land Use Manager job description, Deputy Health Officer job description, approval of the 2023 MS1 summary inventory evaluation, approval of new veterans credit for 2024 for map lot 217-044 in the amount of $500. Removal of veterans credit in 2024 for map lot 216-069 as it no longer qualifies. Approval of updated liquor license letter for the Travelers Rest. I would prefer somebody else take over this motion because I didn't realize the center was in it. So as read, good day.
No, I think you can, my thoughts were that you can move it, someone else can second it, and then you can abstain, and I would probably as well because of the Slim Baker credit as well. So
I'll second it.
seconded by Rob. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, abstentions?
Aye.
Aye. So that is 302. Good call, thank you. All right. We have the 2024 Highway Department truck purchase order.
So Mark will explain a little bit more about it, but we have the 2023 purchase order, and after Mark talks to you, I can tell you what we're going to need to do.
Okay.
Okay.
I got word from Ford or Gruponis that Ford actually only produced a very small percentage of the trucks they took orders for this year, and we're not on the list to get one of them. We need to do a new purchase order to move us up to the 2024 model year truck to get a new one. Of course, the price has gone up also,
And we will be on the list?
We're not sure.
hopefully.
So they only did 5% of the orders, and that's it. They're not doing any more,
At least that's what
what we've been told.
told.
So in order to do this, the best way that Bob felt to do this is to repeal the original one, which was in January.
Yeah.
And then we have a new purchase order if the board agrees. Same truck, just 2024, it's about a $3,000 difference.
Okay.
What color is it?
Orange.
You're joking, right?
No.
It's blue.
Can we pick a color and stick
Seems
with
like I
it?
asked this
Can
a
I-
few months ago. Can we even get a truck is the answer to that.
Well, I understand that, but
You pay extra. for
no,
color.
I understand that. I understand you can't, the green's extra, whatever. Can we just go with white? And stick to a color for, I mean, it just,
Yeah, I'm sure, I can change the color, yes. I will throw out my thinking.
okay, go, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
We have a red truck, we have a white truck, and I thought it would be nice to have a blue one.
We also have a black truck.
We have a black truck.
And a black truck.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
black.
green.
Like, I thought you were joking when you just said blue to me, because we already have 4 colors, and that's gonna be 5.
For a colorful time.
The forest green that we used to get is no longer available.
We're not gonna be able to get it, right. So that's what I'm saying is at some point, we gotta decide, are we gonna be white, are we gonna be red, are we gonna be?
Right, well, that ties our hands if we come across, like we did the red one, that was a demo that had been built, it was brand new, and it was all built, and we wouldn't have to wait 6 months, 9 months, 10 months, whatever it is to build the truck. We got it right on the spot when we needed it. And the same thing with the white, the CV. We bought that off the shelf, it had been built as a demonstrator. When we approved getting the truck, that was what was available, so that's why we have the different colors.
Is this just me?
No,
No, it
it's
is.
not.
Because, I mean, like, people in town are saying, I'm getting this from people in town too, and it.
I heard it.
OCD.
I mean, I don't have any feelings on it, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. But
I'm just OCD, so if it's just my opinion, just tell me to shut up right now.
No, I think it reflects better if everything is standard, and it looks like it just looks better to me. I'm leaving that.
I agree with that.
I do too,
if you can get a
except it's
vehicle, I
not
mean,
practical
yeah,
all the
yeah.
time.
Right. Right.
So,
Feel
All right, so
strongly-
let's rescind
So this is the purchase order that has to be rescinded with the number. You don't have to say the amounts, I think you just,
Yeah.
the purchase order number.
Yep,
we don't have to, okay, just make a motion then.
yep.
So I'll make a motion to rescind purchase order number 003819 in the amount of $62,848 for the Ford F-550 cabin chassis.
Is there a second?
I'll say,
Second by Scott. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, abstentions, that is 5-0. Okay.
So this is the new purchase order. If you agree, you can just motion to have me sign it, but you need the purchase order number if you're going to do the motion.
If you don't feel comfortable with that, that's fine. You can pass it down.
Can I specify that it's white?
No.
You can, but you may
It's
not
gonna
get
cost-
it.
Let me ask you a question. How much longer is it gonna take to get a white one?
Well, I don't know, I can find out where it's going in as a new order, we may be able to get it white
Or
right
something?
off.
You can specify that the preference would be white.
I can ask you to please get a white one.
Yep, I'll try it. I'll do the best I
Tan
can.
and white after are $8,000.
If
No, no, no.
Is this a little bit more money?
Yes.
$3,000.
Almost 3,000,
It's
yeah.
about
Because it's
29.
the next year.
Next year's truck.
Thank you.
The only reason I keep saying white is because that's
It's
typically
easy.
the go-to color on that kind of stuff.
We already also did a purchase order for the outfitting of it. So we don't think we needed to remove that because
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
that's fine.
outfitting it,
Yeah.
so.
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve purchase order number 003813 for the amount of $65,837 for the purchase of a 2024 F-550 cabin chassis,
Preferably white.
preferably white.
I'll second.
And to have,
Love you, Mark. Thank you.
and to have the town administrator.
I also have a purchase order.
Hold on.
I'm sorry, and
Wait a
to
minute.
authorize the town administrator.
This one needs to be signed to go back to the dealership.
Yep, I'll do that.
Seconded.
I have it.
I'll
Hold
second.
on. It was already seconded by
sorry.
Scott, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. That's 5-0.
Mark, does that need to go back before Monday? I'll sign it and send it back tomorrow if you want.
Monday would be sooner. They're not gonna close orders, I think, until October,
Okay.
but the sooner the better.
While Mark is here, if you wouldn't mind, there's a couple of things under the TA report
Yep.
that were added. I'll just touch base really quick.
I have a
and
couple as well.
We'll just skip the highway after, but window damage claim, just so that you're aware, they have the Primex has paid the owner for the
Okay.
damaged window. There's still issues with the phone system. We are working, we think we have a resolution, and we're gonna install a regular phone in the transfer station. It's gonna be the cost of the phone, the lines are already there, already exist as a separate line, and that should hopefully resolve the issue, we hope, but. Salt shed. The date of the salt shed fire loss was March 2nd, and we received an email from Primex asking us if we have an intent to go after withheld depreciation, which is recoverable losses, they call it. If we want to do, and Mark and I talked about it, and he's not ready to build a salt shed right now, but
We have a new salt shed. That building we
Yes.
had was obsolete.
he's not ready to build a new building that would.
Right.
So, but we have 2 years to document the cost when we rebuild, and we just have to notify them by September 2nd that we were gonna pursue withheld depreciation. They gave us $29,435, but apparently if you build, that's actual cash value, but if you build it, you can submit your receipts. And if it costs more than that, they are able to give you more money.
Okay.
So we would like to do that, we just wanna make sure, or I would like to do that.
Seems reasonable. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll submit that. Green, I know you're your other things too, but Green Street, we did a brief, we did a brief conversation, at the last meeting that Mark's crew was gonna take a look at Green Street.
Tower Street.
Green and Tower, sorry. There was a problem with some, we think some pipes in the back, that run through the backyards of some of those properties.
Yep.
So we still are not clear on ownership. I'm gonna pull all of the easement deeds from the town clerk's office to see if I can look through those. But Mark's crew did go out. I will show you the pictures and then let Mark chime in if I can get the Zoom. I was gonna start with this one. Can't see, try that, thank you. This is their backyard. So just and you can kind of see where the holes are in different areas through here. Their driveway is here, and then there's a concrete, is that a catch basin, Mark?
Yep.
There's a concrete catch basin back here, so there's something wrong obviously with the pipe here. Mark's crew did go out and take a look at that, and do you wanna let the board know what you?
No, we pulled the cover off. It's just a flat concrete cover. There's a pipe that goes out across their driveway through 2 catch basins and across Tower Street and into an open drainage. But there's also a pipe that goes out through the backyards of all the houses on Tower Street, Green Street, North Main. I don't know how far it goes out through there, presumably quite a ways. We don't know anything about the circumstances of why it was put there.
But it does feed into the town's catch, this is the catch basin in their driveway. There's one that is on the opposite side of their driveway on the road. This is a sinkhole, Mark's crew has filled that. Obviously, it's probably not going to stop doing this, so we have to look into it, but this is the back, some of the backyards.
Yep.
So you can see the holes in some of these areas. We don't, Mark was stepping in them, I wasn't. But we didn't dig up those areas. You can see that it runs all the way out to the back. There's some kind of bridge here. It runs from there
That's behind
over.
where Chico used to live,
Yeah.
that bridge she's pointing at. And I believe it goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
It's what used to be the ski tow.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, so,
So
And
on
that's-
top of that pipe failing, I'm quite sure there's some drainage that comes down from behind what used to be B.B. Wood's house. I'm pretty sure there's a catch basin or two in there that feed out into the field somewhere. Really don't know what we'd run into if we even tried to replace that pipe.
right. Do they need to be there? Can we?
Well, I would assume that originally it all ran on top of the ground down through there, and it was just filled in to make it a better area out behind the houses.
Yeah.
Mark, is that something you guys want to undertake the construction on, or you have to?
If we prove that
We-
it's ours.
We could, we've done it before up on Second Street and Church Street, where there was an old stone box culvert that went through some backyards.
Our concern obviously is the sinkholes that keep, so there are some sinkholes under the garage. They're not related to this, and the owner's aware of that, but that garage is gonna have some issues soon, because we were looking at it. But the sinkholes near the catch basins is obviously our concern, right now, and we filled that hole for now, so. And we're gonna try to find out if we have easements or not, and if
Yeah.
it's our pipe.
You know, we had replaced the pipe that crosses Tower Street, I don't know, 7 or 8, 9 years ago, something like that. Last time we paved in the neighborhood. So it goes across Tower Street to the first catch basin in their driveway, and then from there out through is all old stuff.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think if it's our system and it's failing and affecting their yards, I think we have a responsibility for sure. So let's find that out and start figuring out what that is going to entail.
Okay. Tractor, this was kind of to just gauge your opinion, because there is one, the Holder tractor, the current lease is up November 2023. I did look up the payment for that. The last payment we make is in November. It's $20,000, it's only $20,242. And then after that, we won't have that tractor anymore.
After November.
Yeah. So he was looking at options, and there were 2 different quotes. Those are in your folders under T83. The problem is, if the HP Fairfield is more money, and there's only one vehicle left, a lot more lease payment. So if that's something, it's a trackless tractor.
Yeah.
And if that's something you wanted, the reason we wanted to bring it up tonight is if you would prefer the HP Fairfield, we have to jump on that a little sooner. But go
Mark, I
ahead,
think
Mark.
we've talked about that a little bit in the past. You find that's a more flexible vehicle or easier to work on, easier to?
Well, there's a couple of different things. If we go with the holder to replace what we have with a new holder, they have road service techs that come out and work on the machine. Fairfield doesn't have any such thing. If the machine breaks, it's gotta go back to their shop.
Yeah.
So there's some convenience in having,
The holder.
replace it with the holder.
Yeah.
Some of the attachments, like the snow blower, have to be replaced with the new, if we went with the trackless. And looking at what I've got for quotes, I think the holder is the best option for us. It's quite a lot of money.
Yes, so it's so the trackless, you would have to buy the equipment, you would also have to pay extra for the warranty, 5-year warranty, and they average over 5 years. So that lease payment doubles, and then add the amount for the warranty. But the Chadwick Bay Ross includes the warranty, and comes equipped with the list, all the things that you would need, so.
What are we currently paying? Has that been 20,000
20,000 each year.
across the years?
Let me just look real quick, I think so.
The
It was a 5-year.
lease that we are in right now is some kind of funny lease where the machine goes back to Chadwick Bay Ross. They make one of the payments, actually, somehow.
I think they made the first
Yeah.
payment.
And they get the machine when we're done with it after the 5 years. These 2 new leases will own the machine at the end of the lease. We'd have that as trade-in value if we want to do it at 5 years, or if the machine holds up well and we want to keep it a few extra years, we could do that also.
Yeah, it's been the same payment for the last 5 years, so 20,242.
So
And it'd be going up to,
almost double.
Yeah.
Almost double. It's gonna, either one of them. it's
but
almost-
you'd have equity in the machine.
Yeah.
We're paying if we do.
What's the life of one of those?
Well,
5 years. 3.5 years.
Isn't that how leases work? Yeah, right.
yeah, the first one we had, we bought, it
Reconditioned.
was secondhand, yeah, reconditioned, and 5 years was way too much for that machine. This one we currently have was bought brand new, and it is starting to show wear and tear and after the 5 years, so.
So
I would say, we'd press it, go 7 or 8 years maybe.
you don't have to make the decision tonight. The only way you had to is if you were leaning
Yeah.
towards the trackless.
Yeah.
But other than that, we can think about the Chadwick Bay Ross and come back.
It is, I probably shouldn't even bring this up, but is there a buyout option on the current one?
No.
Yeah.
No.
It was a really strange lease.
Yeah, and that's what the salesman told me. He says, I've never seen a lease like that
It was,
before, so.
it took us when I first started, I'm like, I need to read through this again. But they paid a payment, and then the rest we paid, and then we lose it by the end of November.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and there's no buyout
a
option.
true lease versus a lease purchase.
Chadwick, we bought the last one through?
Yep.
Let's stay with what you know, I think.
Yeah, and have the equity in the machine.
Yeah.
And the service is a big issue with the machine anyways.
It is, because as we've seen, they're bears to work on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll get a purchase order ready for the next meeting
Okay.
then.
Okay.
Road repair update since Mark's here, in case you have questions for him. Upper Birch Road, we will know, you didn't get a text, did you? On
No,
November?
not yet.
So-
They were supposed to have a scheduling meeting today and let me know when they're coming to do the repairs on Upper Birch Drive.
They did
That's-
go out and fill potholes.
They did, thank you.
Yeah, that's all we got left for repairs.
I noticed there was a property before the split, as you're going up the hill, where most of the material ended up in their front yard,
Side yard.
side yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens there?
We can go back and clean that up. I think the guy was talking about keeping the material for himself, but I don't know. I'll have to check.
I'm just curious, if we had responsibility for that.
Well, a lot of that material came from the loss of the culvert on someone else's property, not from the road.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah, that material came from their driveway
Yeah,
across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The culvert blew straight across and that all went to the lake.
Yeah.
After it took out the
West Shore
the
Road.
bridge at West Shore Road.
Right.
We did clean up a little bit at Bristol Hill because it ended up in someone's.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Okay, if somebody asks us to clean it up, we go and clean it up.
Yeah, I was just curious, Mark. I did have a couple items I was gonna bring under selectmen's items, but since you're here, the entrance of the bike trail at the lake has a lot of gravel on the road.
Yep, that washes down out of the state road.
Yep.
Periodically, we go sweep it up, but we've been,
I know you've been busy, I just was out and about and walking and happened to see it.
Yep.
And same thing on the other end by that water area that we always have.
Oh, Riverdale.
no, the leak coming out of
Yeah.
the bank. And
Just beyond that, just south of that, there's from that hill, it just
Yep.
all washed down,
Yep.
so they just run the broom by.
we kind of prioritize and do the important stuff, you know.
Oh yeah,
on the
no,
road
I got you,
first.
it's just things I saw out,
Yeah.
like I said, out and about. The pull-off at the lower bridge, where people park to go fishing and stuff down in there.
The old fire department.
Yeah, there's a stand there. Yeah, that's got a erosion issue. That's washing out and heading down into the river. I'm sure it's DOT issue.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed it. so-
Yeah, I only noticed it because I got a call and I pulled over to talk and I noticed a big hole there. So
Yeah. I'll check that out.
yeah, and it's probably state, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But-
Well, talking about the state.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me changing the subject
No, go
just
ahead.
a little bit. The state's discharge from Main Street, Pleasant Street, goes out through the Masons parking lot, and that pipe is failing. And they have told me that, hey, too bad. So I don't know if we could pressure somebody else to,
Who gave you that answer?
the
District
District.
Local.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but we've been in and repaired the catch basin because it had caved in, but the pipe it's an aluminum pipe, tops
Yeah.
dissolved or whatever happens to aluminum. And it's just gonna be a problem till it gets replaced.
It goes through the parking lot?
Yes,
Where
Which
is it again? Say it again.
we advertise the parking
Yeah.
lot as a public parking.
Yep.
Where
Yep.
again?
from Pleasant Street through the Masons parking lot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now,
So-
when the state did all those road projects, the stoplight there, they never changed any of their discharges to the river. They did in the road and left whatever was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay.
We will make some phone calls.
I'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
I did one more thing, road work update, paving and shimming, Bristol Hill Road, the shimming for Bristol Hill, Mark would like to move forward with it, he does feel that there's enough money, it'll be about 69,000.
Yeah.
So that would be added to the schedule, and then Baker Street is the final road that was on the project to be paved. They did go out and fill potholes if they could, just until that could get paved. But they wouldn't come back out to do the paving until they do the paving for, with the shimming for Bristol Hill Road.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
To follow up on that, so when we pave it, will we be able to do something about the intersection between that and the state road?
On Baker Street, there's not a
Where
lot
it's
we can.
so, where it dips down so much and there's that, wait, did you fill that hole right at the edge of the state road?
You mean the swale
Well,
It's
I guess you could call it.
between the
it's
two
supposed to
catch
be-
basins?
Well, I guess so.
Yeah, we can
It's
take
where the
some of
state
that.
road attaches to Baker
Yep.
Street, and it's just a bear to get in there.
Oh, you're talking about the transition.
Yeah.
Yep.
You and your fancy words.
So, just little,
I was thinking about the ditch next to the road.
little history on that is back years ago, the town put in those two catch basins because the water would come out of Baker Street.
Okay.
And that's the way the state wanted. They wanted that exaggerated swale to keep the water from coming out of Baker Street onto the state highway.
Yeah. A certain taxpayer has mentioned this to me, as you are well aware.
Yep,
And to
I'm
me,
sure.
And fairly enough, because I've come out of there
Yeah.
before, and it's a corner where you kind of want to get your butt in the street and get moving, so.
Yep. We can take some of that out with the
Thank you. Good
paving.
enough.
All right.
Yep.
The only other With Peak and Hill Road, Mark's working on their concerns as well.
Okay.
But just wanted to give you a heads up that
I
they're,
did do a drive-by after we spoke, and yeah, had some thoughts on that, but we can talk about it later.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, until things settle down and stabilize, it's gonna continue to happen.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, for sure, yeah.
What is?
Some, just with all the damage, the ditch lines.
Oh, so it's road damage, okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mine went,
That's
The
all
ditch
right.
lines aren't stable because they haven't packed and they haven't, yeah.
yes. Okay.
And you can't really dig them down because of the ledge in
Right.
some of those areas
Right.
too, so.
Yeah. All right.
Is that everything?
That's, well, the other one doesn't matter, we can skip the last one, so.
Okay.
Until the TA report.
Yeah. All right.
Can I tell you two things?
Yep.
So we can,
Hold on.
Tennis court being resurfaced on Monday, just so you know, they're gonna power wash it tomorrow.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either until today, he sent me an email. And then, the other thing is that bouncy thing is broken again, the other side now.
I don't know what, Trevor spent hours working on that thing, so.
What's that?
In the playground,
Oh,
that
yeah,
that
yeah,
bouncy
yeah.
thing.
Oh.
If he takes a picture of it, I'll send it to Joel
Yep.
and,
And I think he's got the parts for the other thing that's broken.
oh, it came?
He has a box of pieces in the truck, so.
Awesome, thank you.
All right. All right.
Bouncer.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome back.
All right. Household hazardous waste day update. Tom, we're gonna have you come right up to the microphone.
Put on your good shirt.
Your good plaid.
With my good plaid. I've got some handouts first. I hope I have enough. Thanks, sir.
Were they what?
Carol, I could share.
I was gonna say, were they what you sent in the email, Tom?
Well, no, I guess I do have enough.
Thank you.
No, that's all right, you can hang on to that.
Okay. So we had it was a successful household hazardous waste, and I'm gonna always refer to that as HHW.
Yeah.
So first of all, some thank yous to the people on the Sustainability Committee, Nancy Dowie, Jane Metcalf, and Herb Darcy, for their help. They did a lot of the details that really make a difference in the end and help HHW run smoothly. Also to Christina and the town staff for making copies and just being there for support. And also Mark and Victor for this, in the highway crew for being accommodating and helpful with the collection. And in that same regard, we collected about 120 gallons of waste, of used oil for recycling, which they use in their waste oil furnace.
For the town?
For the town.
Yeah.
Waste oil furnace, so that was good. And then we had 18 volunteers on the day of. People from the Sustainability Committee and their spouses. We had, and Carol, you'll be proud of this, Troop 50 from Bridgewater.
I
They
saw
had-
that in your email, that's good,
Yeah,
that's good
yeah,
stuff.
they had, I think, 3 or 4 scouts there helping.
Great.
And 3 high school students, plus adults. So they were key factors in the whole collection. And also SAU 4 for the use of the high school parking lot, which was made the flow of traffic really good. So you can see some of the figures that we had 194 vehicles come through. And so that was from 197 was last year's, and so that was good. And to give you an idea of how many pounds, how many tons were collected, I don't have this year's figures yet, but overall, like last year was 3¼ tons of household hazardous waste that was collected. It was just amazing. And it's probably, that probably is about what's going to be this year. And so that was, so what's the future of HHW? I think the town has been looking into that, and on one of the job descriptions for a lead attendant, that person might take it over. I was just the intern this year for the site coordinator, and so they were, that will help. As far as contracts that Lakes Region Planning Commission, they have, they're negotiating with Tredebi and others, but you're gonna see a surprise for next year for the cost. Because the last 5 years, it's been a fixed contract, and they adjust for inflation a little bit. This year, it will probably be a 40% increase in the cost, because it's been such a great contract for the last 5 years. You know, it's going to be catching up to us. So that's going to be spread around for 24 towns participate in this household hazardous waste collection. And also this year, we were not able to take fluorescent light bulbs or any universal waste. And the contractor backed out just as the start of the whole planning thing. And so there was not enough time, and no one, Lakes Region Planning tried to get another contractor, and it just was no time. But I think the town is gonna see a 4% rebate coming in, because we couldn't take universal waste, which is 8-foot fluorescents, 4-foot fluorescents, and other mercury out of your thermostats. But we had handouts. If people brought those in, where can they get rid of it properly? We had handouts ready for them. So, and people were very accommodating. They weren't upset. You know, they had something to take with them and not just throw it on the side of the road on that. So just be aware, next year you're gonna see an increase, but it's, you know, all in line with everything else. So
What's our current cost on that?
The last time I looked at it was right around 3,200, but I can give you.
Okay, so even with 40% increase, the actual number is not.
yeah.
So we pay LRPC more than that. But for household hazardous waste, last time I thought it was right around 3,200.
Yeah,
So.
I don't have that figure.
About a $1,200 increase per
Yeah, I know that for the total amount for the 24 towns, it's $100,000.
Yeah.
Is so it's a good amount of money.
Do they allocate that by, do they allocate that by the size of the town, population?
Yes, and I could not tell you how to do it,
Yeah.
but it's fair.
Yeah.
That's all I know. So you can see on the slip of paper here how Bristol, had the most residents go to household hazardous waste, which makes sense because it's in the town. And and next year they're trying different things to get more people at a different time other than the last week of July and the first week of August. They're trying different things to get more people to come in to it. So And so, all the signs and everything are stored up here in the space. Everything is back up in the storage room.
Okay, do you, can I just ask where you
Yeah.
put it upstairs?
Where it was in the corner as you walk in on the left-hand side.
Over here or over there?
Over there.
Okay, good.
Over
We're
there.
working on reorganizing.
Yeah,
so-
Yeah, on that.
In terms of their,
Yeah.
system of
And you can see we had 194 vehicles come in as opposed to 197 last year. So it's about the same, and so that seems to be a good number on that, so. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Did you do this, was it the same hours this year, Tom?
Yes, 8:30 to 12, exactly.
Oh, I know, I ran into that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir, we're closed.
Yeah, yes.
If
Yeah,
I
they're
could,
12:02.
just for the public record, make a couple of comments. Janet Metcalf, I'm on the Sustainability Committee. I was on that committee that helped put this together. I've worked at the event the last 2 years before this, so I think it's a really smooth sailing machine because Lakes Region Planning does a really good job of coordinating it. I think there's a lot of credit that goes to Tom for stepping up unwantingly to lead this. But there's two things I'd like to say. The first is that the volunteers is remarkable to watch. I mean, this happens all over the place in Bristol. But there are so many town volunteers, not just, residents like us that help, but like the Boy Scout troop, the treasurer of the football teams at Newfound Regional High School bought a bunch of football players and came and talked to me and talked to Tom about what else they can do to help the town, which is it's just inspiring to see, the way they're filling in on it. But the other thing that you all should know is that of all the towns that participate in this event, Bristol is the only town that does it totally with volunteers. Now, that's a positive thing on our side, but it also is something to really look at. There's, in just about every town, I went to one meeting at Lakes Region Planning with the committee, and the guy next to me worked at the transfer station at Franklin. And I think there's something to be said for having somebody from the town be the official coordinator of it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that people on the committee aren't participating and helping, but I think that's a really important thing to look at, assigning someone. I think there's a lot of interchange with the highway department that is really important, that goes well. And I know that, all right, I just want to say this last thing. I know that I talked to Mark about this side issue, but that there's this lead attendant job, which is a really interesting job, which has been, how much, 6 months being posted. He said that that's one of the things. When I look at that job description, my first reaction is that, can't we make this into like a full-time job? Isn't there a way that maybe you guys have all considered this, but it seems like there's so many pieces to that job that we can find a way to add a few more hours and make it into a full-time position. We're gonna find somebody to take that job, but it's a good part.
We have someone, we just, we haven't signed the offer yet, but we do believe we have someone.
Oh, good.
So, knock on wood.
Well, I think it's a really good move, and I was proud of the fact that we're the only town that does it by volunteers all, but it also says something about the work.
It's a burden. Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's a big responsibility
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
for volunteers.
I can appreciate those comments, and I would echo personally and from the board, Tom, we really appreciate you
Great
taking
job.
this over and
Thank you.
doing such a great job with it. I don't expect anything else, but
Yeah.
I appreciate it and the board appreciates it, and we thank you very much.
It's all the volunteers.
Just as adding to the, who's gonna take over for next year, Dave Jeffers at Lakes Region Planning is gonna go around to other towns, to see if someone in another town, doesn't have to be from Bristol,
Yeah,
that might
can coordinate,
can coordinate.
yeah.
Are you saying you don't want to do it again?
Correct.
When Tom told me he would do it, he said this year only.
Oh, yeah, I was giving him a hard time.
And it, sorry, I gave you the wrong price. It was $4,152.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Job well done. And appreciate the comments too.
So make sure you look at that. $6,000.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about
Have
the
a good night, guys.
fire department
See you all.
Jeep bid. Have a good night. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
You don't want to stay?
Go to the concert.
There you go.
Rub it in.
It's dark out.
No.
They're playing softball right now too.
It's not, well,
It's not as dark
not
as
as
it
dark
looks.
as it looks.
Oh, the
Yeah.
stupid windows.
Yeah.
Don't say that in public.
All right. We need to potentially finalize the conditional approval of the fire department Jeep bid. We all have the packet information. We've had a chance to look at the equipment that's being offered in exchange for the vehicle. Most of us have. Many of us have spoken with the fire chief and gotten his opinion on it. So unless there's any heartburn, I think we approve the.
We already approved it
You did it
conditionally,
conditionally.
so we have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I can do the bill of sale officially. Because the concern was that if you didn't, I didn't do a bill of sale with them yet, because the concern was if you didn't think it was a equitable trade,
Right.
then I'd have to take that back.
Right. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the high bid from, hold on one second.
Was it the 7,000?
No,
No.
15.6.
Matthew Wicks.
It's on the, it's up on the screen if you need.
I'll
Oh, here it is, it's.
I'll make a motion to accept the Jeep bid from the highest bidder, Matthew Wicks, in the amount of $15,600 as related to the goods and trade for air packs and associated equipment. 16 units.
He's the owner of Fire Tech.
Fire tech and safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second by Rob. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? That is 5-0. Great.
So we'll get that bill of sale taken
Yep.
care of. While you're on the bids, I will tell you, we did sign the bill of sale on Monday night
For the truck.
for the truck. And we received a bank check for $8,000, handed over the keys, and we had them take the wording off the truck, and he will, hopefully will be picking it up by the weekend. I told him if he couldn't pick it up for the weekend, just let me know.
Yeah.
Younger kid.
Yeah.
But he's very excited, so.
I thought you were gonna say something like, hand it over the keys and it wouldn't start.
So he did start it
Yeah.
while we were there, just, he's like, can I start it up? I'm like, go right ahead.
Yeah.
So, he did look it over again and started it up, so it started right up. I was like, start.
All right, very good.
So,
Business development site?
okay. So, let me get back here for a minute. So we've talked about, these sites were kind of spearheaded prior to me, and so recruited Cade to do a lot of help. So there are 2 sites now. Before it was a business development site, and it made no sense that there was so much stuff about come visit Bristol. When the business development site was more about what do you need to do when you're doing business in Bristol, or so we kind of broke off a little bit. And Kate, if you want to chime in, you can always chime in. So we kind of spearheaded off, and we've got 2 sites that and then the town will be the third, and they will all loop back to each other when we're done. But we wanted to give you a preliminary look. So there really wasn't much changes to the business development site, which is off of the economic development page. We're gonna do some picture updates there and a little bit of information updates on that, but this is the business development site, and you've seen that before. So if you went to the economic development page, it would be here. There's some process information that probably should be cleaned up. They've been doing blogs, but Cade's gonna take that portion of the blogs over, and he's got the information how to run the site and take over the site. So, that will come back in-house if, soon. And then the other site is, so we saved what's called visit Bristol, nh.com and
I think we got .org.
.org, okay. So this is the site. It's called Bristol, so this is kind of my first time seeing it tonight too with you. But Bristol welcomes you, talks a little bit about Bristol. What do you want to do today? Talks about, these are the badges that were kind of talked about in the past, so we're kind of revamping that up a little bit. And then if you roll, great pictures, by the way.
That is a good picture.
So where do you grab a drink in Bristol? What?
It looked like Bruce.
I'm pretty sure it's Bruce.
Oh, it's Bruce Van Durbin right there. It
It
is.
doesn't get better than that.
Oh,
Bruce
and he's
is-
waving.
It looks like Andy.
And Jesse and Andy, is that Jesse right behind him?
Danica's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's Andy behind him.
So, as you go down, where do you grab a drink in Bristol? Where do you eat in Bristol? Where to stay in Bristol? Where to shop? And we aren't creating everything on our own. Some of the stuff will tie back to other pages that exist, like Newfound Experience or those things.
Yeah.
Where to shop in Bristol, fun things to do. I did ask Kate to fix this picture because it's the yucky side.
Where to look at a broken sign.
Yes.
It's nice and weathered.
It is weathered. It's by a
Yes.
lake.
It's antique.
Enjoy Newfound Lake. This is a great picture.
Yeah.
Come visit us and about Bristol, New Hampshire.
Nice.
Want to know more about Bristol? One of the neat things that will happen too is when we finish these videos, which should be,
We just shot on Saturday, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. So I'm just waiting.
so you got the I don't know if you were here for the preliminary video with this, it was the winter scene.
Yes.
Those came out really good, so the next round of videos will come, we should be able to get them all together and start putting something into this Visit Bristol, so we wanted to share that with you. Do you have anything?
Should we include some links to New Hampshire Chronicle and Fritz?
Oh, we could.
Oh, yeah.
There's been some chatter about that
Because
on
he's
one
been
of
here a
the
couple,
funny pages, the icon lane page.
he's been here a couple times.
Yeah.
We tried to get him to come for the TTC,
So
and he
how-
shot me down.
How would a business get themselves on this page?
That's a good question. The badge program was something that Nick started, I think.
Yeah.
So the next step is to kind of figure out how to implement that.
So, this is just the first step. Cade has some good ideas.
I'm gonna get Bruce Dorner to do it.
Yeah.
We have to get stickers made, and basically we'll just have Bruce cold call businesses and tell them what it's about. You can put a sticker in the window and then we'll put you on the website. It's really that easy.
So there's a lot of stuff we're still learning, because like even the badges that are on the signs, there's no information about what happens when somebody goes out of business. So we're still fine tuning this, but we're getting close. We're getting closer to a really nice product.
So are the stickers already made?
No.
No.
So are you planning on doing like a QR
So-
code on the sticker?
So
when
We
these,
should do something like that, yeah.
people go to the business, they see a sticker,
that's
they
a
can
good
just.
idea.
I mean,
These
talked
were
about QR
created-
codes for other, like I've talked to Joanne about using them for stuff too, so.
Yep.
I think it'd be good to get that kind of thing going.
So these were created by Chum Studios, which is no longer in business. So we branched them back with, and I can't remember Beth's last name all of a sudden, but Beth has been working with the website along with the company that we contracted with. So we used all the encumbered funds and we still have some funds that we had budgeted this year to finish these projects, so,
Is that an upside down pineapple up there?
it does, this one.
It's right side
Right
up.
side
Same
up.
Hold on, let me clean my glasses.
Good lord, man.
So why is there a pineapple on stay?
I was kind of wondering the same thing myself.
Pineapple, is that, the stay surprises me, but you
Yeah.
see it associated with food a lot.
I would probably recommend changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because do you remember I just heard the article, the flamingo and the pineapple.
Yeah.
I don't know about the flamingo.
Yeah,
the flamingo's
that's
over
kind
here,
of similar, I think.
So
It's
yeah,
not a
so
code.
we can probably get that changed.
And the sport one is a set of antlers, is that what that is?
Yeah, looks like it.
It does look like
It
antlers.
looks good, almost looks like something.
It's got a
on
fish.
hard hat,
Yeah.
Fishing.
Maybe they're doing the pineapple challenge somewhere in town, is that why?
And we can relook at the badges too and see if there should be different.
Let's
yeah,
stop
but-
talking about pineapples.
It's got something that,
What does a pineapple symbolize?
Don't look.
Google it.
Google it.
Google it.
On my phone instead of this.
Do you have anything else?
Don't walk
Kate, that
around
you
here
wanna
for
add?
one
Sorry.
shot.
wonderful job, you guys.
Kate is doing.
Yes, great job, Katie.
I just have to tell you, I have to give Kate a huge kudos right now. He's probably like, be quiet. But Kate has stepped up and helped and taken over some things that he probably didn't plan on taking over.
So,
But he's doing it. I'm very thankful for Kate in all aspects of what he's doing for the town. So
I'm gonna pose this question.
Yeah.
Just because it kind of relates,
not anymore. It's gone.
because we started, right, we were the leaders with fiber optic, and then the surrounding communities are like, how can we, when's it coming to our town?
Right.
Ready?
Well, when your town decides to, right, but, so, are we gonna get businesses from surrounding towns that want to join this?
So I think they're in already. I think
that
the
been
Newfound
considered?
experience, and I love Newfound.
Okay.
Potentially you could, but I think they are already on those sites, so we could certainly link them in that. But I don't know what your thoughts are. So you did Google it, didn't you?
What? It symbolizes hospitality, welcome, and good luck, you people.
Unless it's upside down.
Yeah, but
Unless-
And then if you go further down, there's other stuff.
Where is that from?
I Googled it,
Dr. Google?
the meaning of a pineapple.
All right. So anyways,
Wow.
Who knows that?
No, I didn't.
Well, you do
don't
now,
know.
but.
I'll tell you later.
I love that.
So what are your thoughts though? If there are other communities, this was created to visit Bristol.
Right.
So this is
It's-
more for us, and
right.
we can link to those other things.
But I
But-
thought we
Maybe-
did that with the events committee.
We do?
make
Okay.
sure we cover like all the community's events and activities, so we do reach out and
Okay.
include them in that. But this is our website.
Do we wanna put a link to the community page off of this too then,
Oh,
for activities?
That's a good idea.
Under activities?
That's what's wrong with that might be a good idea.
What's the name of the organization that made the map?
Newfound experience, so
Okay.
we should
Yeah,
link,
so we were basically trying not to duplicate.
yeah.
right.
Right.
We were thinking we could link it to them
Yeah.
because they have a lot more information,
Yeah.
but.
Visit other websites.
I'd really like to see it concentrate on Bristol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we paid for it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think, the business development site may concentrate a little bit more than Bristol because it talks about
Yeah.
Ragged Mountain in it, but that Visit Bristol Weekend Center.
And isn't the winter part of the winter video
And
skiing?
it is, because we don't have skiing in Bristol, but it's a good attraction to get people to come to Bristol, so,
Every resort does that.
yeah. So.
They tell you all these things that they don't actually have, but they're nearby.
In the air, nearby.
Right.
Okay. We'll be back to you when we get the video and any other updates for this, but we wanted to at least give you a view of it, excuse me.
Who are you getting the aerials from? Or can you disclose that?
In the videos,
Yeah. Or just the photos?
I believe that was Nigel.
Okay.
in particular. So I email him probably 6 times a year and ask him if I can use the same photo again, and he's always good, so.
Cade
Now
takes,
he's got some great stuff. up
Cade
there.
takes a lot of the pictures too,
Okay.
himself, so, but,
Anything that's not drone, actually that one they sent to us, but everything else is mine.
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
Hmm.
Did Bruce Van Durban send you that one?
No, it's drone.
You did that one, okay. I do like that one too.
Mhm.
So,
Good
okay.
job, you guys, beautiful.
Excellent. All right.
So Kate, do you have a email, like a town email?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meeting.
It's Bristol Media.
Yeah, cause like I took a couple pictures just of that, the park dedication a couple weeks ago, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
If you can use it for something.
definitely.
So Bristol Media,
Park.
At Bristol
Oh,
NH.
that part, yes.
Yeah, if you send me.
That looked like a big turnout.
You put it in the buzz.
It would, I heard it was. Yeah.
Oh, right, there was a lot of that.
so Bristol Media.
At bristolnh.gov.
Okay, so it's not the same.
Did you see that I fixed your email too?
Yes, I
Okay.
did, thank you. And that's why I'm thrown off, because I'm still at townofbristolnh.org in my little mind.
We're almost done that transition. There's a few handfuls that are out there, so, okay.
All right. Great.
What's next?
Great work.
Yeah.
Budget discussion.
So, I'll start off and Christina can correct me and fill in the blanks.
All right.
We already talked about that. Paul will be the chair and Susan will be the vice chair. We interviewed Buzz Kenny and they accepted him to fill the vacant seat. That's a good thing. Well, we've met him before, so. Buzz, he's on the Pemmy Path and,
Family Path Energy Committee
Oh,
and
yeah.
CIP.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's his nickname. Daniel.
Oh, that's right,
They're looking to get a budget manual, some of them want the actual book, which we're gonna look into buying. Let's see, we already had the discussion about the involvement of town administrator at the meeting, we talked about that already. The chair did make a comment that he has an expectation that people will make their best effort to be there at the meetings, which is fair in any committee. I'm gonna use the Outlook scheduling process. The budget committee laptops, they're now the second on our laptops, as she said, you could choose budget committee or other.
You'll see
So-
names, we assigned them laptops because it was just easier to
It's on
keep
your
them
box,
assigned.
right.
Yeah.
This was an interesting piece that the chair brought up. He said that in some training, he learned that if you're using your personal email, if you happen to use it for town business, and something comes up on a legal basis, that they can come hunting for those emails in your email. They can't look at all your email.
Right.
So we said we were bringing up here, should we give the budget committee and any of the other commissions their own email address, town email address, but that's money. So just throwing it out there for your thoughts. We can talk about it another time, but.
There's different stages of the account, so they would just be online accounts, which is less money, it does cost, but it is possible to do if the board wanted to do that or not. We said, we didn't offer it specifically, we said that we would ask, and because otherwise some of them are gonna create a generic Gmail or something by the sounds.
Yes, the other suggestion was create it.
That's the way I
Separate.
would recommend.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's just so easy to do, and
Yep.
yeah,
We went over the schedule and
it doesn't cost the town money.
sorry.
Right,
Yes.
Well,
Which they should be for.
Because we do, for our Office 365 account, right now we're paying $12,000 a year.
Yeah.
But that could change
Right,
depending
right.
on what accounts you add and what type of account. There are 3 levels,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Sorry, Kara.
That's all right. We went over the schedule. They made a suggestion, which I think we all talked about last year, was to strike the initial department head meeting where the department heads just come in and kind of generically talk about their next year. And then they come in again and give you the numbers.
Yeah.
So they decided to strike that. We also decided that on their schedule, it's Christina's idea, not we, maybe, but, or the chair, inserting the various timelines in the budget process so they understand that their schedule better.
While you're on schedule, can we stop here for a second? So I changed their formatting and because they had weird dates and they had military time. So
The military time and military date.
dates. So I don't know if they'll use this, but it got too confusing to have two different schedules. And one reason I wanted to stop is because I have questions for you as well about your timelines. The first meeting obviously was this week, but the deadline for the department heads, from what I showed you previously as a draft, stays the same. They would have to have their budgets in by the 22nd. And then you would have to have your budget finalized by the 20th of October. So it gives you a month, which I'm suggesting you meet every week.
Yeah.
There are options to that though. You could do two larger sessions. And so if you look on this one up on the screen, I tried to break it off kind of like the budget committee does, so not the department heads don't have to be here every single meeting. And so if we did work sessions, I put the two bigger departments that have more costs in them into work sessions, and then I put the other smaller ones into your meeting.
Yeah.
If we didn't want to do that, we could split those smaller ones into the work sessions and do two work sessions and split it between police and fire and little smaller budgets. And the next one would be highway, water, sewer, and smaller budgets.
Mm-hmm.
But you would end up meeting 4 meetings in a row. Which would be the 2 new meetings would be September 28th and October 12th.
September 28th?
It's 29 feet away.
But the
Well,
little golf
September
panic
28th is
there.
also the event, is also
The cookout.
the end of summer barbecue.
And Public Safety Building Committee meeting.
That's during the day. So the question would be, how long do you want your work sessions for? And would it be easier to spread it out over the 4 meetings? Which would make your public meetings a little longer potentially. And so I'm putting it out there, but this schedule's not set in stone yet. The budget committee would like to is most likely going to be attending your work sessions. So
That's fine, they're public meetings,
yeah, so they wanted to hear,
but they're not public
not public comment,
hearings.
right?
Yeah.
So they wanted to kind of hear the conversations and how you come up with, not all of them will come, but it sounds like a few of them will. And so we're creating one spreadsheet that shows them all on here, and that's why I wanted to throw that out there. What do you want to do?
I think, personally, I think we're better off, I know I am better off meeting more often for a shorter amount of time, because if you get me in a 4-hour budget meeting, it's gonna be a disaster. Yeah. So.
Maybe Snickers bar.
He's already
Yeah.
threatened us before.
We're definitely gonna need some food and some,
So we could do, the night that you have meetings though, even though they're smaller budgets, that we're throwing onto those days, I might be able to split them up a little bit. I'll look at who's in them, because for like the first one, not that one, sorry. And I did not mean to do that. So the first one is police and fire, obviously, but we might be able to throw a library in there, or, and break it up a little bit more, so that you don't have 10 small budgets on a meeting night.
right.
So I can look at that. Are you thinking a 3-hour budget session on your off meeting nights?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
starting at 5?
So that'd be like the 28th,
And the 12th.
12th, yeah.
Yeah. This is September?
So it's only 2 extra meetings.
So it's only 2 extra meetings, because we can split it up a little. I'll try to split it, so my suggestion was to split it up between those, it's in your, but I can split some of these out and put them into the other meetings.
You're talking about September, right?
Yeah, September 28th and October 12th, those would be the 2 additional meetings.
At what time?
At 5 o'clock if you agree.
Yeah.
I'm not
You're not,
Can we make sure Bob gets us updated revenues prior to those starting that process?
so, yeah.
September 28th and October.
Are you gone both?
I can do the 28th, it's marathon bag night, but I'll be absent from it.
Alright, so I can throw a little bit more into the 28th then.
I won't be here for the next one.
The
When's the
regular,
next one, the 5th?
12.
so technically you will have, so September 28th would be the work session, 3 hours roughly. October 5th is your regular meeting, there'll be some in there. October 12th will be your next work session for about 3 hours, and then October 19th will be the last one, which is your regular meeting, and then we return them in on Friday if they're ready.
Yeah.
So, and then, so you present to this on October 24th, will that work for you? Whoever's going to be presenting to the budget committee?
Just look at me.
No, I'm gonna have, October 24th.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those, I'll clean this up, I'll add the missing dates, because NHMA I just got the missing dates that were on here. So I'll add those and get that updated.
I'll be happy to present the budget to the committee. Anybody else, obviously, would be great if others, board members were there, but I'm happy to do that.
Does that
Yeah.
say finance office accidentally?
No,
Or is that, do I not understand? Then I don't understand what it says.
which one?
Budget, select board budget to finance office?
So, there's something in the TA report, but I'll segue into it. So we are really using the software that we have now. We're
Good.
rolling it out. One of the things that we've done 2 trainings with the department heads. I'm going to try and get I'm doing a training tomorrow, but we're going to get another training next week for some admins. The first part of the training was to be able to run your own financial reports. Instead of having to call the finance office and wait for them. Each department head, or if they choose an admin, will be able to run their own financial reports. Like, I just pulled that one up too, because I can run it now, but, and that will save some time in the upper office, but it also will give more tools for the department heads to be able to look at their budgets more frequently. The second part is called the budget module, and they will enter their budget right into the system. We might run the Excel sheet as a backup to make sure everything is what we want to see. But the way the software works is the department heads have a deadline that they have to submit it in by, and then it shuts off and they can't make any changes. Then it comes to the select board, and then we put in changes, and once those are finalized, it stops and no changes from the select board, and then it goes next to the budget committee. We are going to enter the budget committee's figures, and they.
Who's gonna enter for us?
We are, probably me, but they will all print out, and there is an option where we can see % on each of them. We're still getting the kinks worked out of it, but that's our plan and it'll make it much easier going forward, is you won't have to copy and paste into an Excel sheet and accidentally copy the wrong submission. There's a little bug flying around.
So will we still receive it in Excel form, so we can use it as a worksheet?
No. Yes, I think I can. I think we've been told that we can export it to Excel.
Oh.
Yes.
That makes sense.
If it's a database, you should be able to, right?
And so, you know how you get the reports that, the expense reports that just came, so the expense reports, they will be set up like that.
Okay.
So I think they did say we could export to Excel, but we haven't tried any of that yet, so keep your fingers crossed. But we think it sounds great.
Good.
So a quick question for the 11/28 meeting, what is capital improvements program committee? I've seen that a couple times now. Are they getting the events committee mixed up with?
No, that's CIP.
Just CIP.
Capital
Oh.
Improvements Program.
It's CIP is capital improvements program.
Yeah.
Oh, my mistake.
So CIP has to present first to the planning board. Planning board has to approve and adopt their plan.
Yeah.
Then they present to the select board, and then they present to the budget committee.
Thank you.
But the only people who have to approve their plan is the planning board,
Right.
so.
Okay, to continue, they talked about what's their budget goals for the department heads, and they were 3% plus or minus.
Any change
And they want to know
the line.
anything 3% or over or under, they want an
Yeah.
explanation for.
On any line?
Yeah, any
Yeah.
line that's
Yeah.
3%, so obviously, just using payroll lines, every payroll, most every payroll changed
Yeah.
by 4%.
Yeah.
So we would just put that comment in there.
Yeah.
But,
So, they also wanted to know, and I'm sure Christine has talked to the chiefs already, but what's the cost allocation of the police and fire department gonna be for the half year of 2024's operation of here and that building?
so based on that, you have another decision.
What's that?
Based on that, you have another decision. So, I've talked to Bob, about my thoughts, and he gave some thoughts, options, and I wrote that note. So there are different ways that we can set this up, and it depends on how the board wants to see it. I also talked to Ben, I couldn't get a hold of Chris. So, there are three options. One, you don't change anything, and you leave everything in their budgets like it is, and they split the costs. Two, you bring out anything that is building related costs and put it in general government. Or three, you create a whole section that's public safety building, like heating. So when I went back through their budgets and checked them, and in the PD budget, there was 4 lines that I thought should come out of it if we were gonna do that. And so the police budget would be strictly employees, equipment, what they need to run a police department, but not their building.
Yeah.
So their lines were heating, electricity, custodial, and building maintenance. So in the fire department, there were only 3 lines, and 3 lines were heating, electricity, and station maintenance. So when Ben and I talked about it, he had a really good point about station maintenance, because they have the bigger side, the bigger doors. He thought station maintenance should stay he had 2 different things he thought. One was he thought station maintenance should stay in both budgets because that kind of station maintenance could be different on both sides.
Yeah.
His other thought was that he would budget the fire department level, just the regulars, the first 6 months roughly, that they would be in that building. And the PD would budget for the rest of it just to get through next year. But I wasn't quite, it's a good idea, but I wasn't quite sure if you wanted to do that. My thoughts are to take heating and electricity out and put it in general government, period. But I don't know what your thoughts are.
Just for that year?
No, to take it out of the building and just put it in general government, but I don't know what your thoughts are, so. The reason we're asking now is because if we are gonna set up a new budget lines, we have to be able to put those into the module and get those numbers created.
Right. And remember, the budget committee last year were the ones that wanted to split the costs out.
They cut,
They said,
cut
well, if
PD.
you're asking for $2,000 for maintenance, but you don't have a building anymore to maintain, why are you asking for $2,000? So they got
they
specific
cut it down, yeah.
about those.
What, I kind of, at first glance, I like the idea of creating a separate budget section specifically for public safety building. That would be a maintenance line, heating oil, electricity, custodial, and break it out completely from both departments. That way, when the
Questions?
questions come up, it's here's what the police department is, here's what the fire department is, here's what the building
And that
is.
would reduce their overall budgets for police and fire.
Right, it would just break out of what those budgets are
Well, they'd still have to keep,
Just for this year or permanently?
permanently.
So fire department for next year would still have to keep station maintenance.
Right.
Right.
That, in their budget, but the PD, it could break everything out into.
Well, they
just
must have some cost incurred here.
their, well, we charge them for cleaning, because we have to clean more. But, and we do charge them for like paper products, because we're using more of that, so we split the cost some, so.
Yeah, the station maintenance, that's gonna be the doors, that's cleaning out that oil catch basin, that tank. So,
Yeah, I kinda like the idea of just breaking it all
Yeah. But the problem is the 6 month, the
The
plus or
unknowns.
minus 6 month.
Well, the other thing is the unknowns too. I
Right.
mean, you could estimate based off of your current building, I suppose, but
Would they split 50/50 on,
electric.
how will we know? Like, is it gonna be metered separately for fire and police,
I don't
or?
believe so, so that's why it makes sense to have,
they might have multiple meters, but I wouldn't think that it would be separate. This building has 5
yeah,
meters.
there's some shared space.
Yeah.
There's some
Yeah.
community space, which is why,
Right.
and we've not had to deal with this because we've never had such a big, a big building.
So 50,
So,
50.
Can we just
Well,
make the
can we
decision for
add
next
it?
year?
so
We
here,
don't have
can
to make
we,
the
We
decision
need
for.
to know for the 24 budget.
yeah, we have to add the lines.
Right.
Well,
So can we add it under general government specific, like, instead of creating a whole other
You
category?
could put it under general government.
Create some lines in there that say, public safety building maintenance, public safety building heating, public safety building whatever.
I think it's good because people are gonna ask, they're probably gonna ask that question.
while we're
Yeah.
on the budget committee, I had suggested last year eliminating the forestry department and just putting that in, just combining that into the fire department
I
budget.
agree wholeheartedly.
And that was, Walter and I just, Walter did not like that. And I think we worked it out afterwards, but,
So we were and, that was on me, we were supposed to look and see if there was any reason that we had to keep a forestry budget in order to get certain funding.
that was my only
And
concern.
I did not do that, so Ben and I will work on that.
Yeah. I mean, and even so, if we just put $1 in a single line item for a forestry department. Cause we don't even have a truck anymore, so.
You sell the utility, don't you?
Right, but it's not, it's got
It's
nothing.
not,
to do
yeah, you just don't, you don't need.
We don't need it, we don't.
Well, you, chainsaws and stuff, you wouldn't count on that?
Those are multi-use.
Okay. I'm just asking because I don't know. So we'll check if there's any reason you have to keep a forestry budget for funding purposes, but it didn't make sense either.
Yeah,
Why
'cause
would-
my only concern is, I think it would be Division of Forest and Lands would, maybe if we're in grant eligibility.
Yeah, grant, and probably be good to keep, like you said, keep $1 in the line,
Yeah.
keep it active, but
Yes, everybody around us has forestry equipment, so bring it on in, because we do everything else for you.
So step back for a second. Are you good with the general government budget, adding those new lines into there?
I personally like to see that versus creating another
Yeah.
section.
Oh, you're saying just put it in general government? Yeah. I'd be fine
We
with
could
that.
bring it
But
back
we'll-
out
we'll-
again,
Yeah.
for those departments
Right.
every year.
Well, you could, there would just be 4 new lines
Yeah.
under general government, and they would say
Right.
PSB, whatever
Yep.
it is.
Yeah. The only other thing would be like any phone or alarm monitoring or anything.
I think that's already under general government, because I think we pay for,
Well, the phone
The
must be
tower.
a computer.
general government, we pay for we pay for the phones, we pay for your computers, we pay for the internet bills. That's all under general government already for everyone. But I don't, cell phones is not, that's under the fire budget. And
I don't know if there would be additional alarm monitoring for the PD.
We're already paying for alarm monitoring, but we should probably make sure we have that budgeted right, so. And our alarm monitoring will change because of the change we did here a little bit,
And
so,
then I think it's still up in the air as to what the
yeah.
fire alarm monitoring will be. Well, there'll still be you're still gonna need it because even if we do end up changing the system has to report something, which requires a line for that. that, so.
Okay.
Carol, sounded like you had.
Hey,
More,
couple more.
yes.
The budget committee wished that the select board would send them a written document that gives them a little more basis for some of the decisions we made. Now, they said they don't want every line item for us to explain every line item. Maybe you
So-
maybe you got a better feel for it than I did.
They
Minutes will
said
be
they
available.
wanted a memo that says they wanted a breakdown or a memo on what the priorities were during your review process. And like rationale, oh no, that's not that one, sorry. So like a basic outline that says our priority was, for instance, let's say your priority was employees. And that's what your priority was employee matters, or we thought we needed to get a vehicle, whatever it may be, that's
So-
what they wanted.
But the but to that is, there's an intention from that meeting that many of them are going to come, because we're backing out some of it, they're gonna come to the select board meeting, so that they can get a better feel, because it's hard as the select board representative to remember everything we all talked about and explain it.
Yeah.
So
So they basically want a synopsis.
Synopsis,
that is
that's
what
the
they're
right
asking
word.
for.
There
I'm
you
not
go.
sure, I don't know.
It would be a one-page synopsis
Yeah.
of your priorities is what they're looking
Kind of
for.
like what you read off at the beginning of the town meeting
Yeah,
when we present the budget.
yeah.
And we could just put key points, we focused on employees
Yeah,
and
that's-
vehicles.
It's fine as long as it doesn't become a thing of,
Mhm.
just keep wanting for more and more. Because the video is there, the minutes are there, we have a representative to the board, to the committee. And so,
And the town
They're open
administrator,
meetings.
and they're open.
and the town administrator goes to
Right.
their meetings, so, yeah.
They had a discussion, which we talked about at length last year, that when we send the letters out to the outside agencies saying, if you want money, we're going to really specify what we want them to bring in this year.
Yeah.
So that when they get here, they're
Yeah.
gonna come here one time with everything.
Yeah.
How many people did you serve in Bristol? How many do you think you will serve next year? And there was a lot of discussion, again, about the same kind of thing, about Penny Baker versus the new Nan, the name escapes me, and
Like
what
the
services, and so they are really gonna push for specificity this year, which I think is a good thing.
So we're redoing the nonprofit letter that's gonna go
Yes.
out. And NHMA is coming out of the nonprofit letter because they felt that really they should. It's a given, most towns sign with NHMA and it's all based on your population and
Yeah.
budget, so they're taking NHMA out, but, we are supposed to so here's another opinion from you tonight. NHMA, there are 4 regional associations. I'm not there, I feel that some of them aren't regional associations. So, sorry, my cameras are going off at home, so. The NHMA is a regional association, which I agree with, but Pasquaney Garden Club, I don't feel is a regional association, I feel it should be an outside agencies. I
Yeah.
think they're getting confused. So I thought we'd move that down to outside agencies. Lakes Region Planning Commission in here is a regional association, so I felt they should stay there, but what are your thoughts on Newfound Lake Region Association? I felt that was more an outside agency, but so-
Yeah, I think so.
And we
I mean,
thought, we just thought we'd clean it up.
I don't
because-
know how much difference it makes,
Yeah.
but,
Right.
yeah.
But that's what they were talking about, they're not gonna, and so Lakes Region Planning Commission would still have to justify by this,
Yeah.
in the meeting with them, NHMA won't, and we'll be redoing their letter, sorry, go.
No,
Tag, you're it?
well, the last thing was that the chair talked about my technique of abstaining from certain things, because as a select board, we already made a decision, and then later something else came up. Unless you're more experienced, you won't have this problem, but as it went along, I did change a little bit to say, even though we voted on something, when somebody came in and said, it gave different information that made sense, it's okay for the select board rep to vote the other way. That was the conversation.
What's the question?
Somebody comes in and says, we want $10,000, and we said, okay. Then they come in later, so we made a mistake, we only need $8,500. So the select board, when the select board rep is gonna vote on that line, do they abstain? Or do they say yes,
No,
and
if less, you wouldn't have
change
to
the vote?
abstain. I think.
Whatever it is, if it's a change, basically.
Because you're voting against what?
What the board.
So basically, all last year, I abstained from any change that we had voted, that was different
So
from what we
you-
had voted on.
Yeah, I haven't experienced 4 or 5 different select board reps, like, you pretty much told the line as to, here's what we did with the select board, and that's how I voted.
Right.
Then there were others that just voted the way that they wanted.
Personally wanted to.
Right, and then you typically represented the board, you know? But, I mean, you could be, this is kind of the issue with it, and, so let's say we all vote 4-1 on something, and you're still gonna, you may still go in with the opinion and vote your way. I mean, there's nothing to stop you from doing it one way or the other.
Yeah, it was
There
just a
isn't, but
conversation.
if we're representing the board, we're not representing ourselves.
Right.
And I feel like as a representative to the budget committee, I need to represent not my feeling, but what the board has said.
Right.
Because whether I agree with it or not, the board has spoken.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should color it with our personal opinion.
Right.
And that's what I did, which is why the question came out at town meeting.
Yeah,
Why is there an abstention?
yeah. And that's a perfectly reasonable
Right.
reason.
Yeah.
And I would expect that the representative to the committee would also have the flexibility to say, okay, well, that's new information that we didn't have, and based on how the select board acted,
Yeah.
I think that it's appropriate to vote this way.
Well, and especially if it was ever a reduction, I think
Right.
you want us to vote for yes.
So I want to make a comment, and I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm looking at the budget from a different perspective this year. And it's always been my feeling in the past that that the select board took the department head's recommendations and passed them along to the budget committee for the most part. That the select board didn't scrutinize the budget as much as the budget committee did. So am I wrong?
I think so.
I think so.
Okay.
But it's a fair observation because
Yeah.
you haven't been on this
Right,
side,
right.
on this side of the
Yeah,
table.
and that's, like I said, I'm not trying to be accusatory or anything, I don't want to offend
Yeah,
anyone.
yeah. No, I think that's what a lot of people feel like.
Yeah.
I can remember, and Robin changes from board to board.
Sure.
I mean, I can remember some drag out budget stuff on this side of the table before it even got to to the budget committee. And if that were the case, we wouldn't have to go through four meetings to get
Sure.
to get the number.
And I'm not implying that,
No,
yeah, it was more like.
No offense taken at all, because
Almost like some of it is kind of like that. And at the budget committee level, it happens. Well, we'll put it in there, and if somebody at town meeting wants to put it back in or take it back out, then so be it. I'm not my personal opinion is I think the budget committee is unnecessary. I feel like the select board can accomplish what the budget committee accomplishes. If they're I'll strike that down. I'm not going to go any further.
it's a moot point because
I feel like it's a redundant process.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't, like I said, I don't think it was ever meant, there were any negative intentions or anything to do with that. And I'm not trying to be accusatory at all. I'm trying to see both sides of it.
Yes.
But I think that's a common misconception with the school budget, with a lot of budget committees
Right.
versus the board, that the board may just rubber stamp things and send it on and make the budget committee the bad guys where they do the cuts.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this process, since I've been here, I've always felt like we really looked at each item and thoughtfully decided whether, yes, we feel this is important to the town now, or no, this can potentially wait another year. So when, I feel like when we've submitted our budget, we always know that the budget committee can make cuts, but.
And, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
cut.
that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I think there's a lot of communication that happens between the board, the town administrator, and the department heads.
Yeah.
So that when they present that budget, they're not presenting things that they know that
Aren't gonna fly.
aren't really supported.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that stuff gets pared down. So when you look at the department head's number and the selectmen's number, you say, oh, there's not a lot of difference there. I think it's because of that communication that happens in the process that's saying, listen, no, we're not gonna up paving this year, we're gonna, stay on the, yeah. So I think that's why there's not a lot of difference in those numbers sometimes. Christina?
Two things on that too. So last year, I think one thing that happened was when the board changed, the department head budget changed. It shouldn't have happened like that. It should have just been left alone. This system won't allow that anymore. I don't know why that happened, but it did.
Oh, you mean like it would go back and,
Well, so somebody,
if the board reduced it,
both
would-
lines got reduced
Gotcha.
in error last year, we realized.
Yeah.
And also, one thing that's confusing is, so the department head submits a budget, and even if the select board cuts it, the budget committee is moving the department head budget.
right,
And I think there should be a discussion of the budget committee, should they be doing that? Should they be moving the select board's budget? Because if you do work to reduce it and
They should be moving this.
right, they don't, they move the department head's budget. You
oh, we
both
had
were
a
there last
discussion
year.
about that last year,
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's a conversation when we give the
And
budget
you're,
to
you're,
them.
you're absolutely correct, and honestly, last year I kinda was just there as a fill-in, it was a one-year term, and I was a little
That's
more
what you
hands-on.
clarify, because it shows select board approved this amount, budget committee, nowhere does it say what the department asked for
Right.
when we present it to the public.
So the process is that the select board presents their budget to the budget committee. They don't present the department head's budget to the
Right.
budget committee. The
Right.
department head's
Right.
budget is there
Is
as
there.
So
they should
information.
clarify.
Yeah.
No, there were, a couple more things, sorry, on budget, are you done?
Yep.
Okay, I just had, are you done? I didn't wanna jump in.
He hasn't been here in a while. It's been weeks, so.
So you brought up a good point, Sean, about, do you have direction for the department heads, specific direction? So I've gotten direction from the budget committee, on what they want to, if anything goes up 3% above or 3% below, they have to put notes on. But do you have any direction for the department heads on, do you, holding the line or holding on certain bigger purchases? I'm just throwing those examples out there because I don't know, so.
Last year, we talked at length about, and I made several comments about wanting to not see anything besides employee retention and maintenance and stuff like that from the department heads. And I think they did a great job. So that's the kind of direction you mean, whether we,
Yes.
yeah, don't come over 10%, don't come over,
Or
yeah,
don't
or
come and
whatever.
ask me for a new truck that or
Right,
that won't come
right,
out
that
of
maybe we
capital
can
reserve,
push,
right?
yeah. I think our biggest problem will continue to be employee retention, pay, and benefits.
And we did I did tell you that, correct, that we established the subcommittee based off of the goal setting session. So you will have more information,
Yeah.
from that group, so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say personally that I don't wanna see anything over X%. I just wanna see a focus on operating as efficiently as possible. And tell us what you need.
It always bothers me when a committee will come in with their goal at the beginning to
Of
say,
X%.
this is the only percentage we're gonna approve.
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's not taking in the needs. or what has to be done.
Well, it's also not taking in offsetting revenues.
No.
So if you look at the fire department, for instance,
Right.
last year Ben came in with a 10% increase. So when I opened up the budget, I'm like, come on, dude, you know, 10%. And then I'm like, then I flip over to revenues and I'm like, here you go. Because it basically was a 2% net increase.
Yeah.
Which you have to be careful about just focusing on that though, because you've got departments in here who are buried with work, but they only take in $10,000.
Sure.
You know, but I understand what you mean.
But
Yes.
It's not just one number, is what I'm
Right,
saying.
right.
Yeah.
So, okay, I've got that.
I mean, I'm open for others to speak up. I don't wanna.
Sounds good to me.
No, I think that's what we've said.
Yeah, last year you didn't want any big projects because of the safety building, but
Right.
I mean, now we should focus, if there are some major needs.
I mean, it's
State them,
still,
you know?
you just looking at the taxpayers are still concerned about, you know, the stability of the economy, inflation, that sort of thing. So at this point in time, we just need to toe the line and, you know, like you said, focus on employee retention and needs versus wants.
Yeah.
You know, or needs over wants, I should say. Because you can, it's nice, 3% is a good target, you know, typically, but, you know,
It's hard to get to in an era of 8%
Inflation.
Yeah, well, because we're already, technically you're at 8% inflation for last year, and we only gave the 4%.
and there's also, like you and I had talked about a while ago, greater demand on our services.
Yeah,
So,
so
And, you know, I think that's a really important question. I don't, so I'm still new at this, right? But I still see that we could have another full-time person in this building without any problem, and they could have 40 hours of work
Yeah.
without any problem to help out. But you know, I'm sure people don't want to, you know, do we want to pay for that?
they don't want to have staff, but,
Sure. Anyway, thank you.
sorry, I'm hurrying, but,
Yeah.
so the second part of that was, I don't want to pursue looking into this, if this is not we would put it on the warrant, but, a town vehicle, it's becoming an issue, because we're using private vehicles for enforcement, and well-known private vehicles.
Right.
So, and there's a concern there for me, so, I had a thought, and I asked Jeff for a copy of his quote for the Ranger. It's a smaller vehicle, but it could also be shared for events, so when events
Yeah.
need to be able to load the cones up and the
Yeah.
things, we wouldn't have to drive a big truck with a plow frame on it.
Yeah.
And I think the PD also mentioned that they could use it as well. But before I did that, I did look at the cost. It was about it was just over 30,000. I don't know what it is now. Wait for Jeff's truck to purchase. If that's something that don't want to spend the time looking into it. We really don't want to put it in the.
I think we need some sort of vehicle.
Yeah.
For employees to be able to use.
We're going to go over on mileage, but
Yeah.
that's to be expected.
it's a professionalism too, and that's,
Like the
I mean,
color.
like I was kind of joking about the color thing, but I'm not.
No.
You know,
Okay, what color do I look
White.
into?
white.
Well, how many different, yeah, each department has a
Really? Could
different
you see what
color.
that car looked like? No, I'm kidding. For the Jeep we had? No. Alright, fine.
The only reason I say it is because you'll always be able to get white.
Yeah,
Okay, and then
Yes, as
I
well.
agree.
two things that came up also at the budget committee meeting, which really wasn't budget committee related, was a comment was made about voting locations.
Someone said, have we decided, are
They
we
did
pursuing
say.
getting somewhere else to do the voting?
We did tell, they were told it was not under their purview, but
It's not really under our purview either.
And we told them that too, we told them it wasn't under our purview either.
Yeah.
But we could certainly ask, we
You
could
can
certainly ask
recommend.
Ned to come in and Raymond to come in and talk.
I would love,
So
in the
the
spirit
moderators-
of our new cooperation with the school, I would
Yeah.
love to revisit that conversation sooner than later.
So
But
have
we'll-
them,
Yeah, definitely.
do you want, to have Ned and Raymond come in first? Or have the conversation with the school first?
Let's just see if they would entertain the notion
where historically they have not.
Because you think that they
It-
might
when-
do a no school day, like switch one of their no school days to
Yep.
voting day,
Yep.
Have a fire station.
so that it would
June.
accommodate.
They could do PD and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we talked about using
Yeah.
that.
What's that?
He asked when's the new fire station gonna be open, because that would be an option, the room in there
Yeah,
eventually. It
I would
could-
say the end of June.
Between either one.
Oh, the end of June. Next year we might.
Next year, we could test out the old fire
There's not
station.
enough room in there.
They're in
In
the,
the-
in the
The
bays.
new fire station?
You'd have to take.
With no apparatus in there.
In the multi-purpose room or whatever it is.
Oh, there wouldn't be enough room
Response
in there.
No,
No.
it's not.
Is that is the multi-purpose room the same size roughly of this, maybe a little bit bigger?
I still don't understand why.
Longer.
we use this.
If you vote in June, yeah, pull the trucks out and vote in there, but not
Right.
in March.
That's what I thought too.
I understand that.
Okay, last big comment was, they came from they appreciated that we recognize employees, but they thought that we should recognize volunteers.
I thought we do.
Oh.
I said the same thing, I thought we had done it, but.
So when I first started, we haven't done it in a while, we've done something, but when I first started here, they had done like a volunteer recognition, they got glasses that said 2007 volunteers, because I have a couple, so they did a barbecue or something, and then we have done, we recognize volunteers in the town report before, I
Community
don't think,
Spirit Award.
Community Spirit
Yeah,
Award.
do we give an
It should
award?
be.
An old
Yeah, we
day.
do it all, yeah.
So
I can
we
say
don't
that.
have to decide that tonight,
Yeah.
putting that comment out there. I'm gonna continue to do the employee pieces
Yeah.
of it for now, but,
I would wonder what they would recommend.
I think it sounded like they were thinking about how we recognize every month.
yeah, if you want me to do
People's
that.
longevity. Every
Do we
month.
wanna, or
And
give them a spotlight? What if we just give them a spotlight, each committee that volunteers? I don't know, cause then it gets, maybe
We
you're
could spotlight
shedding,
them in the buzz, but,
right, something like that.
A committee as a whole instead.
As a whole committee.
One at a time, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, spotlight one committee at a
Yeah.
time in the buzz.
Yeah.
And that way there, you're getting them some exposure and someone may wanna join that committee.
Yep.
Right. Instead of individual.
Instead of just the
individuals
videos, 'cause
you
we're
forget
doing-
somebody or.
We could spotlight the historic district.
And there's,
Yes.
and there's a lot of other volunteers that aren't committees, though.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
but, so I don't know how we would recognize.
What if you just did like a volunteer appreciation event or something, like we do an employee appreciation
We
day?
could do
We
that,
could
yeah,
do
You
that.
know, like cookout
in the
and.
spring.
But how do you get a
Wait till
hold of
next
all
year.
those?
Clean up that with the
Right.
barbecue?
Because that's
We
kind
need
of
some
why we don't
volunteers to
do
run
that,
it for
is
us.
how do you not miss?
There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like we get addresses for everybody or emails for everybody that
Right.
volunteers.
So I'll keep it on the thought list for the spring.
Okay.
It's for the spring if you're okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
What,
We need to have the select board. back.
After March.
Did you see the look you just
I
got?
did, that's why I gave you a wink.
Okay, that's it for budget, I think. Did I miss anything? Okay. Oh, I did.
Those last two were good.
So speaking of budget, so when, if we have to budget any extra maintenance, so we do need to kind of talk about the building.
this building?
No, you think during budget process, so just put in the bucket near the old fire station, well, soon to be old fire station.
Right.
And the reason is because
We'll have to heat it.
it will have to heat it. I did talk to Ben, he thinks there would be some type of lighting on, heating
Yeah.
on, and so we would have to have more of a budget if we keep that building through the end of next year. But if we thought we might do something different or sell that building, we could change the budget up. So just putting the
Can
budget.
we put it in the general
So-
government building
Yeah.
line under old fire station?
Yeah.
Or soon to be
Well,
SW?
he's gotta have a budget anyway
Yeah.
that has those items in it, that we're gonna put to the public safety under general government. But it just depends on how much more we need to do with that building after June.
Have you pursued doing the survey like we talked about?
No, but I remembered it today. I'm still trying to finish the all committee survey.
Yeah.
So, I will bring something to you at the September 7th meeting with questions, so you can take a look at it, so.
I'd also like the board to get back to me individually on their thoughts on the building.
Okay.
on the old fire department.
Yes.
Take a good time to think about it, but, because we're gonna need to start thinking about that sooner than later. So.
Okay, that's it for budget.
I keep getting approached on it, and I keep telling them all to come talk to me when there's fire trucks in the new station.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. When they drive down the street.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. You know, we're hoping for next June, but who knows, it's.
All right, very good. After all of that, TA report.
Christina still talks. Employee department updates under the fire department. There's nothing new to report, unfortunately, still on the building damage. I'm gonna try to reach out to them and see what's going on. Existing building, I did speak to the interested party yesterday, again, and let them know, so. I already talked about the truck, highway department, we talked about everything except for the street lighting. We're having a problem right now where people are reporting the street lights out on the lighting, and Eversource goes out, and they took one of the lights down. I ended up with it on my desk for a few days, and then they had to come back out and reinstall it when they realized that they shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna work with Affinity to try to come up with a process and a plan, because we own those lights, so if a light goes out for something, they shouldn't be going out for one thing, because they're LED.
It's supposed to last forever.
They're supposed to last a lot longer, and it could be something simple as the monitoring mechanism on the top might have something wrong.
Is one of them along the foot of the light?
We had two on Green Street, I don't know where the other one is right now.
Okay.
Mark didn't clarify, but as soon as I get Affinity has responded, I'm gonna try to set something up so we know, but we wanna put out a notice to the public to who to contact, not Eversource anymore. And when there's a street light out, so.
Question on the streetlight, did you ever get feedback? about-
Yes, so
Did they test them?
they were supposed to, but they haven't yet, because I think
Oh,
partly
right.
the weather, so
Right.
as soon, hopefully by the next meeting,
No
so.
prob- yeah.
If they did buy a spray paint can and they were gonna test it, so. Police department, still working on the outside call box. These came from the chief, so, the new cruiser, the PD's newest cruiser should be fully outfitted by the end of this week or next. When it comes back, they have some work that needs to be done on the oldest car, but he doesn't think it's gonna be anything too crazy. Police officer open position, I won't go into a lot of detail. The pay appears to be an issue. They have one person, they had 4 and now they're down to 1, and they're gonna do a little more research. But they might have a person picked if this one works out, so. Oops. The state of New Hampshire Highway Safety Grant, they had applied for a highway grant for under enforcement. They have been awarded the grant. It requires an acceptance of the grant with a certificate of vote showing all required parties voted for me to sign the approval. The grant is $33,100. I don't have any paperwork, all we got was an email. So the grant is $33,109.88 with $10,486 to come from the police department budget. It would be budgeted in 2024. It's a 75-25 split. The grant provides the PD with the I took that word out, to obtain the following equipment. 5 in-car radar units, 3 movable radar speed display signs, 5 LiDAR units, and 1 speed radar display trailer with statistical software. The trailer we have apparently isn't working, so the intent is to replace that. Plus, we would have those signs that you can actually install in locations that you are having some issues with. If you're okay with this, I would need a motion.
Do they need it?
Yeah, it
They
says
need the
it needs a
speed
vote.
trailer, they do need a speed trailer, well, they've had a speed trailer, and this would replace the one that's not working. Would you more, they applied for it, so they feel they need it. But, and we've never had to do this before. Usually they get their grants and it just goes in the grant budget,
Yeah.
and they've never had to do this, so this is new.
I think they're tightening up. Yeah.
So I can, if you're uncomfortable and you wanna talk to the police chief, we know the police chief's come to the next meeting, I just not sure. I don't think there was a deadline, so,
I don't think we'll get a complaint from most citizens, whereas it's
especially
trying
with the
to
concerns.
enforce.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had a lot of complaints, especially on North Main Street, so.
This
I think
doesn't
would
say
help.
there's a deadline, so you could potentially, wait until September 7th if you wanted to.
It would save us, I mean, every time we buy a vehicle, so there's 5 in-car radar units.
Yeah,
So that's a unit that we wouldn't have to replace when we,
right.
or upgrade when we switch vehicles.
What's the life on them? On a radar?
I'd like to know what the LiDAR unit is.
I'll see if I
I
can-
mean, I know what LiDAR is, but I don't know how they use it.
I don't know if they have it, I don't think they have it now, do they?
I don't believe so.
I believe so.
Let's ask the chief to respond. He doesn't have to come in, but let's ask him to respond with,
LiDAR is a remote sensing method.
I know what LiDAR is.
Oh, it's
I
a
just don't-
handheld.
It's a handheld,
It's a
that's what it
handheld.
is.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says, it uses the light from the laser to take measurements and they show it as a handheld, so.
That's $5,000 right here
Holy cow.
for this one.
Custom singles?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. So yeah, $5,000 for that one.
Ask him for
I'll ask him.
how he would incorporate the equipment.
So this one is the one that you look through like binoculars, and that's $9,000.
Yeah.
And there's
Oh,
5
wait a
of
minute,
them.
let me see, he might have said, sorry.
5. And that's 5 of them.
No, less.
So it's gotta be, yeah.
We received 2 radars needed because 2 are broken.
Oh, no, I didn't miss it, I don't wanna sign it, 'cause it's,
2 radars, speed signs for roads. This is more, they got more than 2, but it sounds, but, and the speed and sign trailer, that is around $11,000 because that's broken. So that's, he said next year I would like 2 more speed signs as well, and then maybe 1 radar to stop replacing old ones. So the number will be significantly lower next year. So that's all he said, but I can ask him
Does he
for
have
more.
3 non-working radars?
He said 2 are broken.
2 are broken.
I feel pretty comfortable.
He said he could do it as a warrant article if you, for the funds, but if we, what do we do, turn back the grant then?
I'm good with it.
All right.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to allow Christina to sign off on the acceptance of the Safe State of New Hampshire FYI Highway Safety Grant in the amount of $33,109.88 with $10,486.62 coming from the police department budget, budgeted in 2024. The grant is a 75-25 split.
second.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry.
That's okay.
I was daydreaming and
I
thinking
thought you
about
were waiting
something.
for a second.
No, I was thinking about something. I know it looks confusing. So second by Les, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstentions? Thank you.
Under water and sewer department, they had another lightning strike at Hopkins. The cost for the repair is about $1,700. Jeff is gonna push, because we had already signed the purchase order or approved the purchase order quote for the SCADA update.
Yeah.
So he's gonna push, it's EII, by the way, not L. So to get the SCADA done sooner. They think that the SCADA update will help eliminate this problem, and because they're thinking it's related to the phone lines, the copper phone lines. But until we get this done, there's potential we could get another hit again. And so that puts us up to about $6,500, $7,000. The insurance company, it probably wouldn't benefit us to do this because they would take $1,000 deductible. But the insurance company did pay for a bigger chunk of the first round, which was like $5,500 to fix, so.
Which one's the Hopkins? Is that the one by?
Yeah.
Main?
Yeah, the big one.
The failed valves, they have a workaround for the issue, and but they're not where they're supposed to be.
Should we put like a tower next to that next to that one
Yeah,
tower?
Let's see if we
Like a
can
big
do,
lightning
we
rod?
could do a lightning rod. I wonder.
Cell tower. 5G.
But Jeff has located a company that can do the excavation work if it turns out we have to dig them up.
Okay.
So that's still in the air. Baton Road, we've gotten another input from DES. They were the ones who came out and conducted the sanitary survey inspections for the town. They chimed in and they believe that the owner should also contact the plumber to determine the size of the line. So I've responded and let them know that that's the next steps, and I haven't heard anything back yet. So.
Why did DES go up for that issue?
So Jeff asked them because they've just been out for the sanitary survey, and they surveyed all of our stuff. So Jeff had asked them, but when Jeff and I talked today, I got the impression that this person has also been talking to the owner, so he was going to talk to the owner and recommend the same thing that we have, So the next one's interesting. I got a call from USDA.
Just read it.
Yep, so the funding that was previously awarded, they've been holding all this time. So the grant/loan that we got for the sewer to the lake project, they never got notified that we weren't going to proceed and we weren't going to take their money. So I told them, I'm not ready to tell you that until I've talked to the board, because I wasn't involved in all of those conversations at the beginning, so I said, let me get back to you. And so Jeff and I were talking, and in our conversation, I asked Jeff, can we do the same thing that we did with EDA and ask for a scaled down scope and try and get some assistance with the funding? We talked to USDA, and Eric said to say hi, by the way, Sean. He remembered you.
Okay.
So we talked to Eric at USDA, and he said we wouldn't be able to do the grant, most like that part, but potentially we could apply with the low interest loan, which we have to do anyway for this project. So he in the first conversation, he was pretty blunt that we probably wouldn't get USDA funding again because we're going to turn all that money back. It would take a long time for people to get over this. So when we talked to him again, he's like, well, that might help, if you plead your case, that so we would turn back the grant money, but we would like to, because we've done a lower scale or we've scaled back the project, we would like to take advantage of the low interest loan. Is that a possibility? He's not guaranteeing, but he said he would support the project. The funny thing is he leaves tomorrow. He's got a new job in Washington, D.C.
Oh, cool.
So I have to respond to him tomorrow with a notice of intent that we're going to return the grant funds, and we would like to pursue the low interest funding. And so we talked to Underwood. Underwood thinks it's a good idea as well. We found out that we can't get funding from Northway Bank. I'm mixing the two. So Northway and TD Bank we've reached out to. One of them won't fund us because we have no money with them. The other one won't fund for more than 15 years. So we could go to the bond bank, but bond bank, we wouldn't get the low interest that we would get with USDA. So Bob thinks it's a good idea too. We'd get just probably somewhere between 1% and 2% interest. So if we would pursue that with them, send them the notice tomorrow, let them know the scale. We have the EDA letter that where we scaled it back and let them know what it is and ask them to
Yeah.
pursue the other option.
And then we don't burn that bridge either.
I think it saves a little bit. It won't save everything, but
Yeah.
it makes it even worse that we didn't tell them for almost over a year.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
okay, yeah,
Okay, assessing and land use, we have scheduled a enforcement training session for junkie yards, August 23rd at 1 p.m. We actually have, the town's attorney, is Christine Fillmore. She does a lot of these trainings already. I felt it was a benefit and the costs, aren't that bad, and the benefit far exceeds the cost. So, we are, right now, myself, Joanne, and Mike will be in that, we'll have the attorney via Zoom, which will save us some travel costs. But I wanted to extend an open invitation for the board to attend if anybody was interested, so that's August 23rd at 1, and it'll be in this room, so. South Main Street update, we've issued the final order to remedy, today. And so, they've got until the end of next week to comply. Then the next step would be the sheriff's office. I have received calls, and I won't read that part, but I've advised them that what their best bet would be, because, you know, if they waited for us to do something, it's gonna cost a lot more money, so. Public safety building, under the executive department, we finalized the builder's risk insurance. They've issued a certificate of insurance for the town. Bruin will have to carry coverage for their equipment and their contractors, but we're now covered, and it's gone back retro to the date I applied. End of year student list. So I know that we said we never reviewed them, but I did find one that wasn't ours, so. I went back, I just took a quick look down through and found one address that wasn't ours, Whittemore Point Road North, and I emailed them and let them know to take that one off the town's counts. So I don't know how much, if it'll do anything to change the cost, but, so.
What is this?
If you, TA5, if you look at the Excel sheet, there's an end of year student list that they send us. When I talk to the finance office, they don't look at them, I just decided to look at it. I didn't look at the other towns, I just looked at Bristol, but we did find one student we were paying for that was from another town,
Yeah,
so.
okay, yeah, thank you.
The end of summer barbecue is again set for September 28th. We did change the time. It's 11 to 4, and you'll see why, because the trainings are about an hour each, and we wanted to give people time to eat. We also have some thoughts, which I won't tell you right now. But we've moved it to the historic town hall. The reason we did was because Kelly Park has, the kids will be getting out of school and may interfere with the training, so we thought that was a bad idea, and we couldn't do any kind of games at the fire department. If we wanted to do tug of war, we could do it at the old town hall outside, so.
And we can come right to our budget work session after that.
I know. But you'll be fed, oh, you might have leftover food, look at that.
So what time? 11 to 4?
So 11, originally the plan was 11 o'clock start cooking, which still could be the plan.
Yeah.
We'll have to do something, so the tentative schedule is 11 to 12 games. We have some ideas that we're gonna, with the employees, and then 12 to 1 lunch, 1 to 2 is collision avoidance training, 2 to 2:30 is a break. That's my secret. And then 3 to 4 is first aid AED training. And then we come here for 5.
I took the day off that day,
Thank you.
so
I'm
I'm all in. I'm all in.
But
I haven't told my boss yet.
so I was like, wait a minute, your boss is you. 2 things. I just want to make sure it is going to close things from 11 instead of from 12.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure you're okay with that.
Yep.
We are putting out a hold the date flyer. The question came from some police officers who may not be able to make it because of daycare scheduling. And I said, talk to Chris, talk to your chief, and obviously we say it's mandatory training, but we would work with you, we're not gonna, so,
We could have daycare.
yeah.
Yes.
Hub 66, so we started up our meetings again, they will be monthly, they're all set. It was a really good conversation last night. I had the technology review chair with me, and he asked about some really good questions. I did update the website. This is something we've been working, oops, that's not gonna help you. Something we've been working towards because there wasn't really any information on the website. I'm gonna put a news blurb up there about where the phase statuses are at, but just so the board is aware, phase 1 and phase 2 is complete, and phase 3 should be, they said this week, but I put next week to be safe. So the phases are listed out. Sorry, right.
Did they update the rendering? Did you just say that?
That is an older, that's the older rendering,
They're
we're still
working
waiting
on
on the updated
Okay.
one, yeah.
But we did ask them for it.
Yes, we did. We asked them to remove the sign, the name on the building, and,
The facade.
yeah, and they've
Right.
updated the correct colors on the facade, so so hopefully we'll have that soon. So the fiber project, if you go, is under the town projects. I'm gonna put a news blurb linking it over, but if you go under the fiber project now, it's not done, but here's your phases. Tell us what roads are covered, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 is what they're doing now, which will finish off Summer Oak, Jeffers and Schaefer, Beacon Hill, 10 Millbrook. They have 2 more phases to do from Bristol, and those are also on
But
here.
can you back that for a second? Does it say Oak Cliffs on phase 4? Oh,
Right there, yeah.
we've had.
Phase
since-
3, phase 3.
Oh.
So it's in phase 3, so that's what they're just finishing, so you probably have
I've
that.
had it for 2 years.
Oh,
So because I think maybe it was only part of it.
maybe, because it says Oak Crest Extension, Oak Crest Extension 2. which-
Huh.
And we told people to refer to their website. I couldn't get it to link to their website, it wouldn't open their pages, so I just said to go to hub66.com. So, because I didn't think that we should be totally advertising for them, but I do think it's good to know where we're at on the phases, so people know when it comes in.
People keep asking.
Yep.
Yes.
So there will be a news item that will link them to this page so they'll know where they are. With that said, we had a conversation about the transfer station parking.
What?
The thing down below
Down below.
by the solar array.
Hub 66.
That dealing with this. Yes, I remember. Okay.
So we did have a conversation, and I've talked to both Jeff and Mark after that conversation last night, and they are still working in Bristol. They've agreed. They are been told they have to get all their personal stuff out, and they've been told that they can't block the roadway and they can't park near the fire anymore. Bird pad, but if and they'll neaten it up if the board agrees to allow them to continue to use it, because they are working in Bristol, which I wasn't clear on that when I talked to you last. As long as they keep their equipment maintained and organized and no personal equipment there, what is the board's feelings? Jeff and Mark were okay as long as they didn't block.
They're working on other projects,
They're
not town projects.
They're working on town projects. They're finishing phase 3, which is
Okay.
us, and
Okay.
they have 2 more phases with us.
Okay.
And they have the Hebron connection, which is also part of us, so.
I'm good.
But
with
as
that.
long as they're still working on the town
Yeah.
projects
Yeah.
and no personal stuff,
Yeah.
okay. And we are gonna be working on
I know.
transferring the ownership of the poles, so you may see something, and they were supposed to have already done it. They're just finishing the list up. As soon as I get the list, I'm gonna get Sean to draw something up, because we were already supposed to have transferred phase 1, and phase 2, because
Okay.
those have been done, so. MRI software changes, we already talked about that.
Yep.
Oops, wrong mouse. Just a heads up, Cummings Beach had some signs stolen. We were able to use some older signs, but this may be a discussion during budget or during the next, when we do beach closeout.
Which signs were stolen?
Parking permit
The one
parking.
at the end?
Off the
Yeah.
barrels.
They tried to steal the barrel, couldn't get the barrel out of the
Again?
ground and stole a sign instead. That was at Cummings. Avery Krause, they stole the barrel
Yeah.
and the signs, and we were able to get older signs put in. So that might be a beach closeout conversation. Beach test
That's what
results.
happens when you take down the old bleachers in the field. Nowhere else to go.
Are we going to dugouts?
Jeez. The beach test results for July have come in. The test results still look great. Those are in your packets, and I shared them if I could get the screen to cooperate with me. There you go. The first one is, so I've been asked by multiple people, which was weird today, about beach testing. There's concerns that the water is smelling, brought to my attention today. And I may ask that we do the testing earlier. I don't own, on Avery Krause, there's somebody on the Lake Water Quality Study Group who said that the water smells. When they swim and they come out, they have to shower. And that's the first I've heard that, but,
Sometimes.
There's been so much rain. There's,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes
What am I?
water you swim in does have an odor. I'll take a,
Should smell my boat when I pull it
yeah, I'll drive by, you.
this one is Avery Krause. So if the E. coli, we tested in 3 spots, so it's 3.1, 2, and 1.
That's
Way
like
low.
none.
But, yeah, it's very, if you have one test that's 88, or two tests that are 88 or above, or one test that's 158 or above, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
Usually, so Avery Krause is showing very low, but this was done on July,
So,
yeah, thank you. So, we are due to take the August test. I think it was next week, but I could ask him to take it earlier if he's here tomorrow. If not, we'll take the test next week and see what happens, but Avery Krause looks good. Come on.
I think there was some recent reports of other water bodies having high levels of stuff just this week or last week.
I hadn't heard, but I wouldn't, with all the rain, I wouldn't doubt it.
And then Cummings has been a little bit, it's still a good number, but it's been a bigger number than it's ever been before, but it's a wicked good number. Where is it?
3.1
Yeah.
and 3.1.
Oh yeah, this one isn't. We had 10s on the last one in July. We had 10s.
that's gotta be a result of runoff.
Yeah. So this still looks good, but we just wanted to make sure people knew, because I was getting, even Mr. Darcy, who came in, questioned how often we test, and I'm like, once a month. The state doesn't do it anymore. We chose to do it as the health officer.
Yep.
And if we thought there was a problem, we could test more, but it doesn't appear, so. August appreciation, just, there's only 2 who celebrate anniversaries in August. Whoops. There's too many keys. So Tyler Ford with the fire department has been here 16 years as of August. And Josiah Town with the police department has been here 5 years.
Nice.
So we didn't have any in July, but we have 2 in August, so. Okay, well, it's gonna stay. Aflac, just in case the board is interested, Aflac Benefits Administrator will visit Bristol and hold 5 sessions for employees to visit and ask questions. It's in your folders with the dates and times if anybody's interested. And then employees we do have 2 employees who already do use Aflac. So they pay for it, it's nothing the town pays for.
Yeah.
So if anybody else is interested, they're gonna have those sessions. Eversource Make Ready Billing, they responded that they're trying to locate additional information,
All right.
but that's where we're at on that one. The next one, I'll let you read.
Yeah.
And then, the next 2, under select board, I figured, I'll let Sean report on the meeting with Mr. Superintendent Nilhaus.
Yeah.
Open positions, just wanted to reiterate for the public, anybody interested in the cemetery trustees, they have 1 open position. We've gotten none right now, where it's up to August 31st, but if we may have to extend that if we can get someone else interested in serving. Library director is still open, for a full-time position, and then we have a transfer station attendant. They are interviewing candidates, but, right now it's still open part-time. Concerts will be, we have 2 more concerts, we have 1 more, tonight was one of them, and next week's the last one. The arson investigation team will be at the Minot Sleeper Library on August 22nd at 6 p.m. if anybody's interested in meeting the arson dog anthem.
And Old Home Day is the 26th.
And, oh yeah, Old Home Day, I should put that on here, I'm sorry. So Old Home Day is the 26th, and it's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And can I reserve a table for Hub 66?
Yes.
For you?
Can you send me an email?
Yeah,
I forgot from
I
here
forgot
to
about
my
that.
desk what I was supposed to remember today.
She did, she calls me, she's like, I put my ring on the other finger. And I'm like,
What was it?
Why?
Oh, never mind, I remembered.
I did forget to ask you one thing. Hub 60, New Hampshire Marathon, would I reserve that for you too? A table for them?
No, they should have reserved it too.
I can ask
Us.
them, I'll have them send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
They were interested in setting up in other spots, and setting up a table, getting more outreach, and one spot that had come to mind was the transfer station, if there was a way to do it there, but before I did that, I wanted to run that by the board. But it would be they'd set up a tent and a table, but if we did it, I'd ask them to do where they park.
Mhm.
The highway department parks across the street, I just don't know if that would cause a problem for traffic.
Who is it? Sub 66?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do it by the sledding hill?
We could put them down there.
Yeah.
That would give them more room.
It's a safer
So
spot.
technically, I can't tell them they can go there, but I can tell them to go there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, okay.
Set up there.
Good
It's a
idea.
safer spot.
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
Communications, I have nothing new to report, haven't had a chance to reach out to them, but I will before the next meeting. CASA submitted a thank you letter for the board. I should just read it from here. There it is, sorry. Thank you for your commitment and continued support, Thank you for your continued support from the town of Bristol. The recent $500 gift demonstrates your commitment to child victims of abuse and neglect. Thank you so much for helping us in our efforts to recruit, train, and supervise the hundreds of outstanding volunteers who advocate for child victims in our local and state courts each and every day. And I'll leave it. There's more to the letter, but that was the gist of the thank you for keeping funding them. We did receive another thank you from regarding our enforcement process, which I thought was interesting. The thank you is just wanted to drop a quick note to express my appreciation for the job the Code Enforcement Office is doing. It sure is about time that enforcement is being taken seriously, and I'm sure it's no coincidence that this time has happened since you've taken over, I brought that part, taken over the town administrator position. I think that there's some great communication using the Bristol Buzz and Facebook. Nobody knows more than I what a thankless job code enforcement is. I was unable to find email addresses for that department. Please let them know that despite the negative Nellies out there, their job is very appreciated by a lot of people in Bristol. Thank you all very much, and please keep up the good work.
Very nice.
And who is, should I know who that is?
Yeah, he used to be on which board?
Budget.
Budget and zoning, I thought.
He was going off budget just like my very first year.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
He hasn't been for a while, but he keeps
Okay.
in communication, and if he doesn't like something, he lets me know that too. But it was
He's
a
on the
nice.
community Facebook page too.
Okay.
Yeah,
He stuck up for the land use office.
Yeah.
Or commented positively when we were getting some negative comment.
about the letters, I think.
Oh, right.
The letters, yeah.
Dog
Oh,
enforcement.
yep,
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Oh, I put Steve Nealhouse in here twice, sorry. All committees meeting, I'm trying, it'll hopefully be done this week. I kept saying that, but it's on my list. Very excellent, I will let you know that they are permanently closed. The business owner walked away from the business, and the property owner is working to catch up. He got left with bills, cleanup of the property, and he is looking for another restaurant type business to come in, but it will stay closed until they find something.
Is there tenants in that building upstairs?
There's an apartment in the back, I don't believe there's
But no
tenants,
one was living there.
but they leave the lights on a lot in that building.
The staff, a
Where?
lot of the staff stayed up.
So there are two sections. The front side of the building was supposed to be an Airbnb, it never did, and got turned into housing for the staff. There's also housing in the back of the restaurant on the first floor for the staff. And then upstairs, there's an apartment, which I think that the property owner was using when he came, but I think it turned into housing for the staff. So,
Yeah, I think a lot of the cooks were staying up there.
yeah, so. And that is all she wrote.
Is that all you got?
That's all, I think that's all I got. If I remember something else while you're all talking. Quick, he's gonna say, stop talking. No, nobody's got anything to say, she'll shut up. No, I'm kidding.
Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Oh, okay, I thought you did. I'll talk about the superintendent on selectmen's items, which we'll move on to. Les.
I don't have anything other than Old Home Day is on August 26th. It's a full day of activities. We have lots of crafters coming, some food wagons, and a full day plan.
Okay, great. What do you got?
So you did ask me, I thought it was in there, but I might have skipped it when I was talking with Mark. You asked me about one road, which was Newchester Mountain Road, and about changing the speed limit.
Yep, I saw that.
So that you do have the ability to do that, but you do have to do a traffic study first. There are set speed limits for different areas of the town. So is there a speed limit sign on that road?
No, there's no sign.
So at minimum, we could put a speed limit sign up, but for, is it on here?
But right now, that would be 35.
So it says decrease the limit, well, that's business or urban, never mind. I think it would be 35 from what, I sent
It
the
is
list to you.
fast, yeah.
That's if it's not marked, that's what it's typically
Right,
enforced at.
right.
Yeah, so right here, 35 miles per hour in any rural resident district.
Right.
And on any class 5 highway outside the compact part of the city. So if you wanted to consider reducing it, you'd have to have a traffic study. I talked to Chris has had complaints on that road.
Yep.
And he said they could do the traffic study if we wanted to pursue that, but at minimum, we could put a sign up. In budget committee, after the meeting, one of the budget committee members said they watched this meeting, where we talked about this, and they brought up there's no signs on Peaked Hill anywhere.
Yeah.
And they are concerned that there's a lot of speeding, so we could put signs up on Peaked at least.
I think Peaked needs signs.
Yes,
If they're not there.
they're not.
I think I want to hold off on the sign on, because
Do we really want to open up this can of worms? Because most of the roads in town are
Aren't signed.
posted.
It's implied, they're just not
Right.
signed. I mean, North Main Street.
well, the reason we're talking about Newchester Mountain Road is because we got a specific request
To lower it.
to lower it.
Right, and I agree with that, but like what I'm saying, when you said Peaked Hill, I can list off 10 more that
Oh,
don't
no,
sound
the
too
person approached me about Peaked Hill after watching your video,
bad. Gotcha.
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I don't know what the rest of the board feels about the speed signs.
I hate to post at 35 because then people are gonna, that are.
Go
are
35.
really
Right.
slow,
Oh, I
are
agree
gonna
with
start
that.
going
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah, so my feeling is hold off on putting a sign on Newchester Mountain Road. Let's ask Chris
To
to.
do a traffic study.
I had a complaint too, did I forward it, did I tell you someone?
What?
Maybe it was, I had a complaint about speed too, about a month or before we left for vacation. Might have been coming down North Main.
Well, we did talk about North Main and they
Yeah.
are doing more patrols, but
Yeah.
I think that was it, yeah.
just around, so we'll do the traffic study and then hold off on anything else for now.
Yeah.
We just found out that this effective September 1st, the state statute requiring a state license for hawker, peddler, or itinerant vendor has been repealed. Cities and towns may still require a local permit, however, but there will be no requirement for state license. We do require it, but we require it based off of their whole rules.
So we'd have to have come up with a new
Right.
ordinance.
So, and I do think we've had a lot of people who don't like the door-to-door, which we can't restrict, but we can make them permit at least.
Yeah.
So I do think that we should probably continue it, but I wanted to make sure before.
Yeah, I think so too, and I saw, again, the gentleman was set up outside the bank
I've talked with him.
over the weekend, yeah.
So he did come in, he's applied for a permit, to use the square. They call it the gospel music and some.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact, but I'm waiting for a couple of department heads to chime in. It's a Wisconsin Baptist church he lives here. So in the summer, he comes here and does it. And then in the winter, he goes to Florida and they shut down a square for them. I'm like, well, we can't shut the square down for you, but I need to know when you need to be there because I can't have multiple people, especially if someone else is already reserved.
Right.
So he's sent me a list, and I haven't finished his permit.
Okay.
And I can tell you what he's applied for in case there's any concerns.
I talked to Nick when I saw it the other day, because Nick was working.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, we really can't do anything. I'm like, dude, he's on the sidewalk with people crossing the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like,
I thought it was a bad location.
yeah.
So
What are they doing? What is it?
he wants to,
Playing his guitar and talking about
Jesus?
the gospel and
He's
Jesus.
set, but he's got an amp out there and everything.
yeah,
He's taking up a considerable amount of space on the
These
sidewalk.
musicians, you can't trust them.
he's a musical gospel presentation. He wants to do Saturdays and Sundays, August and September, from, well, he would set up at 9:30, so the singing event would be 10 to 11 a.m. On Saturdays and Sundays. I have already talked to him about you can't be on the sidewalk and block anything, but if you want to reserve the green space, we can talk about it, and you just need to let me know how often you want to, how long you want to, and we can go from here, so.
Interesting.
So he did submit an application, and I'm just waiting for department heads, so.
All right.
This
is not Florida, but that's all right.
Right.
Just talk about English.
I just want
Yeah.
so you do one more thank you.
Can't trust them out there.
God's sakes.
I really told you God's sakes. Dear Town of Bristol, thank you so much for your recent donation to Voices Against Violence. We are so grateful to have your support from January to March. Oops, sorry, run-on sentence. From January to March, we served 355 clients, provided 241 bed nights, and answered 174 calls to our hotline. Your donation helps us to continue to support victims and survivors and provide hope and safety to all members of our community. With gratitude, Voices Against Violence Board of Directors.
Great.
And last thing, I should have known. I did get into the certificate course, I should have mentioned that earlier when we were talking about training, for finance. I will I will be gone on Wednesdays, September and October, to these courses, but I'll be here for whatever meetings I have to be here for, so.
Great.
But now I'm done.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that. Scott, selectmen items.
The only thing is the planning board did not have a meeting last week as there was nothing on the agenda, so they just canceled it. And then there were several members that took advantage of the offer to get books, hard copy and or ebooks. So, other than that, that's it. Oh, one more thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Carol,
That's not funny. No, I'm kidding.
welcome back, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I missed you guys terribly.
I know you like to play by yourself, but
Yeah.
it's nice to have the band back there.
John Zellers and I are going to continue to follow up with DOT to try to push them to do something on to Rite Aid.
Oh.
I think I told you this before I left. We had a conversation with Don Lambert. He's in the DOT. I'll call it safety division for the lack of being able to remember it. About the end of exit 23, right, the off ramp. I think I said this maybe.
Yeah.
And he again, he made it very clear, we are not gonna get the money to do everything that we have, so I think we kind of have agreed that going out to Rite Aid, or at least getting something at the corner done, because more people are walking there. So we left it with him that he would let the two gentlemen that came here that night know that we were still concerned. And Christine and I had spoken, but we both dropped the ball, so we talked last night. She's gonna call them to try to set up a meeting for John and I to go, anyone else wants to come.
Okay.
If you don't, it's important that I don't say something that we don't agree on, that's my point. So if it gets closer, I'll make sure that we're on the same page.
Okay.
I was wondering how the boat ramp was going in Wellington without the fish and game people in it, and how much of our police department resources are ending up there, if you've
I
heard.
haven't heard anything bad, knock on wood yet. The details have been increased as well. And we've been filling out paperwork for the detail, that's a whole new thing too. We haven't filled this much paperwork out for details before. So we've been filling out paperwork, but I will check with Chris.
Likely I'll be going out for knee replacement 1st of November, so I'll probably miss a meeting, maybe two, but I don't know, I'll let you know the date.
It's right after the budget meeting, so.
Get through budget season.
You might want to reschedule earlier.
Yeah. All right, Rob.
A couple things, just a couple recognition things. Les was there last week, Hazel's part, dedication and everything. And a big kudos to Chief Bean for all the work he did,
Great.
kind of putting that together. The other one, not much has been said about it, but I'm sure you guys heard about the drowning that took place in the river about a month ago.
I never heard anything else after that.
She walked in the fire station the other day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So big shout out to the guys from both PD and fire, and New Hampton PD was a big help on that call too.
That's amazing.
So there was, we can talk about that. I don't know any details. I
Okay, yeah,
just rumors.
So we can talk about that after today. I'm actually going to talk to Chief LaRoche about making sure those guys get recognized for that.
Yeah.
Because there was, wasn't much hope that day, so. Old Home Day, I was gonna ask, is there anything you guys need from, are we doing anything collectively as a board?
I
or-
think, as a board?
No.
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 Wow, quick
Yeah.
answer.
No, I mean, like, I'm planning on being there for the softball.
I generally spin around and, take a spin around and call it a day.
No, we don't typically, but there will be town people there.
No, I just didn't know if there's anything you could help with or anything.
Ingrid is kind of spearheading the fire department piece.
Cool. The only other question I had, the piece of property at the corner of North Main and Mayhew, the parking lot.
Yeah.
Has the town ever discussed purchasing that property or anything?
Yes. But at the time, the price they wanted for it was a lot.
Well, now they've finally resorted to just culling it off and not letting people use it.
They have certain people using it, but maybe they're
Well,
renting it.
it's maybe, but it's
Oh,
a
is that why
neighbor.
they're doing
It's
it?
most likely a neighbor. That's
Yeah, that's,
So, because
across
they,
the
well,
street,
they
yeah.
have an air, so, we have 9 cases before the zoning board, if you wanna come watch, by the way.
Oh, it's gonna be a long night.
Zoning
Oh,
board,
no, thank
you're
God.
lucky.
Not planning.
But they're doing an Airbnb, and so they're one of the cases that are supposed to be
in
coming.
the old chapel.
No, just the house across. They, Barbara Greenwood's old house.
What?
No.
Somebody told me it was Barbara Greenwood's
It's
old
Jeff
house.
Lewis.
Jeff Lewis, that's what I thought.
Oh,
They
okay.
did the renovations on the barn, so they're doing an Airbnb there, so I'm wondering if so they own the chapel, the rectory building, and they own the house. Jeff Lewis.
Interesting, because I was actually plowing that a couple of years ago because they were renting it to somebody.
Yeah,
And one of the 2 renters were the ones that did hire me.
so now they're doing an Airbnb in there, I don't know how many, I've gone over the applications and they're gone back to get more information, but,
Yeah, it's gone back and forth, it's been blocked off, it's been unblocked, it's.
Kind of the reason I brought it, we were down playing softball the
Yeah.
other night, and I was having a discussion with one of the school board members about the 2 properties and stuff, and just a general discussion, and then I started thinking about it, I'm like, once that property starts getting developed as the community center down there, that there's gonna be even more vehicle traffic and stuff, and you know, an even greater need for parking in that area. Is that something that the town should start looking towards?
It's a good point. Valid.
You know,
Yeah.
Oh,
it is becoming an eyesore.
Yeah.
I guess softball season's over with, but like the parking along the guardrail, like could use some fill. But at this point,
parking.
but that's a whole nother
Park
point,
there.
is the drainage onto the field.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Because when they paved, there's no curbing there, so
There
the water.
used to be a curb that would stop the water,
Right,
but every time they've added 2 inches of pavement to it, now there's no curb.
Should we be talking to Mark about that?
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
should.
And the Kelly Park Committee, because there's erosion now by the dugout.
Yeah.
It's
The
noticed.
highway.
but there is no parking next to the fence.
There is, people park
They're
along,
not supposed to.
No, they're right. They do park there, but it's
They
not
park there,
parking.
but there's no parking
not-
signs, but they're not parking
It's not
spaces.
designated parking.
So,
Just you renegade softball people.
Renegade parents dropping their kids off at camp.
Yeah, oh yeah, lots of them.
Yeah.
One more thing for me.
Yep.
I'm following up on Hall Road again with DES directly as a state rep. I'm just letting you know, I know that you guys have made we made the decision, Tyler Ford's house,
Yes.
that the town is not gonna follow up because, as you all know, DES, I called the enforcement person last Friday and said, let me know how it's going. I haven't heard back, so I called the division director again today, trying to push them.
At this point, it's not even about the property, it's about a lack of responsiveness.
they did a drive-by.
It is.
and said it
well,
was inconclusive.
Right, so, but they should be letting them know, can we work or are we in trouble?
Yeah.
And that was what I pushed. You, in fairness, you need to let these people know what the answer is. It's been too long. I mean, this is going back to the old Wetlands Bureau's days, right? About 25 years ago when that's where they were, behind and everything. So I'm following up and just letting you know.
Okay, great. I talked about a couple of things with Mark. I received a call Saturday, or last week, and then Sunday afternoon from one of the fishing game commissioners, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
Who I know he's retired from the wood industry, but he had a lot of questions about the boat ramp and the history and not wanting to take on somebody else's problem, plus, so to speak, to paraphrase. So just know, I tried to describe the situation as best I could recall it. Told him that he should get in touch with you. But it sounds like at least, and then it sounded like Wednesday, they had a meeting and that was discussed, so I don't know what the outcome of that was.
Yeah, they're supposed to still establish a committee
Okay,
to review it, and my name and Ned Gordon's was submitted to serve on the committee.
okay.
But we're waiting for the governor to make.
I just
that
let him
decision.
know he sounded very skeptical on
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Skep, like, not in favor of it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But there's only one voice on the.
Here's my concern. The weather on the weekends has been terrible, so we haven't had any problems.
Right.
Have we had good weather this summer?
Wait, you're talking different.
No, he's talking the river.
I'm talking Mooney Clark.
Mooney Clark, but I will tell you, we have had a complaint.
No, but
We've had a complaint about the Mooney Clark Landing and that they can't get a boat down there.
Right.
So Mark and I drove down and there is a washout, but it's on this self-created road that somebody cut across
They
and
bypassed,
that's
yeah.
washed out. And there is a swale, but you can get there.
It's rough.
It's rough.
Yeah.
But it's gonna require some grading and fill.
Some material.
And
yeah.
so we hadn't done that yet.
Yeah.
But
the fire department uses that quite a bit too. Just for training.
Yeah.
He had mentioned something about it's illegal to swim at a boat ramp.
it is,
And so that was one of his concerns because people are swimming down there.
if people don't enforce it.
Yeah.
Groton has Spectacle Pond, that's how we found out.
But that's the only way to.
Because the
Everybody
only way
goes
you can
swimming.
swim there is the boat ramp,
Yeah.
but we had to put up signs blocking cars back further. We had to put up signs saying you need to move out of the way of boats. Boats
Yeah.
have the right of way
Yeah.
or whatever, so.
People put power boats out there?
There's certain ones that have power boats, they have
They have
a
camps.
permit because of the camps.
Oh.
Anybody else doesn't, but the ones that have camps across, and it's the only way they
And I
get.
think it's a 5
Yeah.
horse limit, but
Yeah.
yeah, they need a special permit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But, so it is technically, but Groton chooses to allow them to swim there as well.
Yeah. Okay, just bringing that up. Looks like Katie has left already.
Out of that building,
That side of the building looks to be empty again.
Well, they never did me.
They did
Said
leave.
that out loud. They
Yeah.
never did
They
anything
did
while they
leave.
were
I
here.
I was supposed to have a Zoom meeting for the newfound committee today, but I couldn't do it. And so I did send a message to Liz to say, I noticed that you're out of the building, what's the plan for Bristol? So
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Which building is this?
it's where Newfound Insurance was.
Oh,
across from Mill
Crescent
Street.
Village?
Across from Mill Street.
Oh,
Across
oh,
from
okay.
Mill Street.
The new building,
The new
gray
building, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where the gym
Where the
is.
old gym burned.
Yeah. I don't know what
Fun
you're
fair.
on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Had a meeting with the new superintendent. He came in and introduced himself to Christina and I. Kind of an interesting meeting. It's his first cooperative district, which was interesting. We talked quite a lot about the differences in the towns. I really tried to explain to him how different the towns are or can be, and their attitude towards the school district, and just in terms of like the difference between Alexandria and, say, Hebron or Danbury or Bridgewater. Lots of discussion about the process that Bridgewater and Hebron have started. Lots of discussion about the building plan. He is obviously new, so he's diving into all of that. Seems like a nice guy, said all the right things. I stressed with him the importance of communication with the towns, and specifically the importance of, what's the word I'm looking for? being forthright and transparent in the budgeting process and you know, the whole thing with the budget and how the money gets spent and that stuff. So I told him that the last couple of, especially the last superintendent, really, I think changed some of the conversation in the district and was more open to conversations with the towns, and so I asked him to, you know, to please mirror that and continue that in the spirit of that. He was well aware of he had done his homework, he was well aware of the differences from town to town, well aware of the fact that, you know, Bristol is the, you know, the 1/3 of the pie, and so, you know, and so I think it was a good meeting. I think he was pretty forthright about some of the challenges that he has in front of him. He certainly wasn't sugarcoating any of that. I think since then, because he said he had several meetings scheduled, I think this week.
Yes, because he couldn't come to our meetings.
Right, which is why we had that, right. So I think he's making the rounds with the other towns. Told him he's gonna get various greetings from different towns, but yeah. So, you know, it was a good meeting. It was informative, and a good back and forth conversation. You know, nothing. We asked him about the speed bumps on the high school. He said he was going to look into it.
We wanted to just make sure they were removable.
Yeah, right. And they are.
Appear to be.
Right. So not a lot to report. Just he's got a lot of experience. He just doesn't have a lot of experience in a big cooperative district. So that's going to be interesting, I think. But I would encourage anyone to, he mentioned, I would encourage anyone who wanted to talk directly to get a hold of him and have a good conversation.
Cool. Will he be the full-time?
He was hired as the new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not interim, so it's temporary.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Although, without going into a lot of detail on my end, I don't know how many years he would.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. He's been doing it a while. Yeah. I don't know if Christina has any other thoughts. Yeah. It was a good cordial meeting. Like I said, I think he listened well. We'll see.
He seemed open and receptive.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And he reached out to the center and asked if he could come meet with us, you know, pretty quickly after I got here.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard from the staff, they're very happy that he's communicating well.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Boat ramp, superintendent Katie. Yeah. We do need to announce that we have a hired, right? We need to announce that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So do need to announce that we hired a temporary part-time
Administrative clerk,
Right.
Ashley Bureau, to join assessing and highway.
Correct.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Nice. Any other items? Any public comment?
We should, we will check, we didn't have that information, but, did you have any questions on the MS1, by the way?
No.
We gained so last year we only gained the 200,000.
Yeah.
We found out why. When we switched to the new utility appraiser, even though he worked for the old utility appraiser, when he told us no change, he didn't tell us anything else, and we always equalize values.
Yeah.
So we lost a little bit more than we probably should have last year.
Yeah.
So, but this year, we still lost almost 2 million in value for utilities, but we still
Overall.
gained 2 million overall
Yeah.
with all of the construction that's been going on, so.
Yeah.
Which will be helpful. And then, we do not know if the school they have all of their stuff in yet, but we should know, by Monday, we'll be able to check. So.
Okay, very good.
Some put them in the box.
All right, any comments, questions?
No adjourn?
Motion,
Second.
seconded by Carol, all those in favor?